Fixerbot says.
Welcome. Stream starts in 5 minutes.
I'll be right back. Taking the opportunity to be good for kids for 2 seconds, and then we'll get started.
T minus 4 minutes.
Welcome to my stream, where knowledge reigns supreme. Calm and collected, I'm about to go live, you know what I mean. Got high expectations, gonna teach you something new. Learning, hacking, exploring, there's so much we can do. Feel the excitement as we dive into uncharted lands. New discoveries await in this digital wonderland. Together we'll unravel the secrets, unlock the code. No limits, no boundaries, no knowledge will explode. Welcome to my stream, where the fire of knowledge burns bright. Chat with me, let's embark on this journey of delight. From the basics to superpowers, we'll learn and grow in the stream of knowledge. Together we'll grow. Welcome to my stream, where knowledge reigns supreme. Calm and collected, I'm about to go live, you know what I mean. Got high expectations,
Stream about to start. 1 minute left.
gonna teach you something new. Learning, hacking, exploring, there's so much we can do. Feel the excitement as we dive into uncharted lands. New discoveries await in this digital wonderland. Together we'll unravel the secrets, unlock the code. No limits, no boundaries, no knowledge will explode.
welcome back. So, let's get started. So, um, that was funny. I should have just stopped that countdown. Should I? Let's do it. Let's do it. Uh, all right. I have several open windows now. Just making sure that both streams are open. So, we have the new little title. So as I know that YouTube will cut the stream, I'm not sure if it's 10 or 12 hours. It might be 12 now. But I don't want to have like a uncertainty about that. So now we're a new stream to continue it. And we'll see if there are more on that. I think we lost some people. During the countdown, there was 8 for a second, and now it's just 2. I'm curious. I like to have people to chat with, you know? It's always nice. But we're going to go through this course, and we prepared to set up an environment here, just logging in, really. Right? Colab Research Google.com. We just went there. And we opened a new file new. That's the only thing we've done. And there's some release notes, so we can probably close. And if you need more help about how this works, we have the base of the Python courses that they have here. But the one we're doing is machine learning with Python. And this is what the start page looks. And we can see that it starts with something I feel is quite boring, stock price prediction. So training stuff, training LLMs, that's kind of what I hope to learn here in Python, of course. How to build a simple neural network. Build a recurrent neural network. Build a convolutional neural network. Simple speech to text. So I'm curious about this, especially since I've done a lot of things with that recently. Image classification, object detection, build a generator, and discriminator. Image style transfer, symbol, natural language processing. And it uses different things here. Sentiment classification, vision, computer vision in OpenCV. Build a chatbot with OpenAI ChatGPT API. It's not like we need that. Generate images with Dolly OpenAI. So this would require API keys, right? So we wouldn't be able to do those. Convert PDF to speech. So I already do this with just Python, but I'm still curious. I hope to learn more stuff there. If they with advanced models mean we don't do it ourselves, we just use someone else's stuff. We'll see. So let's start and click start lesson here. And we started checking this video out, but I'm just going to close it. And hopefully this will start from the start of the video.
We create a function that allows us to return the value.
Nah, it hopped. So,
welcome to day 22 of learning Python in 99 days with 99 projects. This is the first episode of part 3 with machine learning. In this project, we're going to be learning the stock price prediction. So I'll be using a linear regression model, and we'll be using that to predict stock prices. So what we'll be doing, we'll be gathering historical stock data. We'll be still using Google search because they have a great directory of getting stock data. We'll pre-process it, and then we're going to train a linear regression model to make future predictions. And this is kind of what we expect to see at the end of today's course. We are importing our required modules, which is pandas, pyplot, stats, and numpy. Then we first gather our dates and our prices. So this is just our first data that we're gathering.
So I'm going
I
to
believe this
start
is Apple stock,
typing
but it's basically
this.
what we
Dylan
did is we went on
Kaiser
Google, we just
says,
searched up Apple stock, and then we looked on
Hinbo,
the first 7.
translated from German.
Hello, hi.
Doing some machine learning, I see.
Yeah, so I wanted to get started with actually like part like making models with Python, and I'm hoping that that's what this will do, right? As training kind of sounds like that, right? We'll see. Anyway, we'll probably learn some Python too. Um, I have used these matplotlib a little bit. I don't really like this kind of thing, but it's part of learning. Have to do the things. If you have to do something boring to get to a goal, sure, I'll do it, right? So I'm going to type this into the other screen here while we listen. And if you want to just chat, just pause it. I'll pause for any chats, and we can continue
14th,
later.
21st, and 20th day of the month, and then recorded its prices as well. Then we put that on a scatter plot, and then we were able to see this data right here. Then with that, we were able to use the
Yeah, so I kind of need to pause it, right? Because SPD, I just realized that maybe he has this. No code down under it or anything. Then I'll just.
stats module to get a linear regression model, or basically a median
That's
line.
linear.
Not median, I think it's average line. And with that, we're able to get a slope, the intercept, an R and a P, and a standard error value. Mainly the R and P values don't really matter, but it's more actually the slope and the intercept value. And essentially what it'll do is it'll draw a linear model or linear line, which is equal to y equals mx plus b, which is m is equal to the slope and b is the intercept.
So I'm saying, do I really want to type all of this?
So essentially, this is the line that we get. What it means is that the y value here is going to be equal to mx plus b.
I think that
the
next one
the x value that we provided,
it will be there.
Plus the intercept. We simply call that function, and we'll basically be calling it across all of our values. And then finally, we'll be able to show that value on our pyplot right here. Then we can, using this linear regression model, we're going to predict the price of the 18th day, which we actually haven't plotted here, and that'll tell us that the stock price is going to be 172.53. Now it's kind of hard to tell here, but we can kind of see with this this graphical model that I guess 18 will be in the middle here, and then we kind of go up with our line, and that's very close to 72. And yeah, that's the beauty of the linear regression model. We even try to further train our models. So rather than using just 5 days, we use 10 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 days, and then we put the stock price for that as well. So with that, we can see we have a difference of slope. It's a small value, but essentially the meaning behind it is that the more data that we feed it, the more accurate it's going to be with its predictions. And you can see the line looks a little bit different from this one compared to the one up here. So now that we have that, we were able to predict our price. And while we did include the 18th day, we did the 19th day. This basically means that it's more accurate with its model because we have a more accurate model in general with more trained data. And that's all for today.
Yeah, that wasn't a lot, was it? Since I have the source code, we don't have to type it all in. Let's open this instead. Ah, that was annoying. So obviously I want to extract this, right? Not just. So I made a little folder for this. So we might add stuff to this, right? Extract the source files. They will all be called source files, right? And start prediction demo. And wow, okay. Let's just open it. And I want this open enough that actually, otherwise I would do code. So I'm looking for open. Or we'll just do it in Python normally, but that's not what they do. Insert. No, we want to import. Tools. Yeah. Let's open that in. I'm gonna paste this in Obsidian instead, because I kinda think that might work better. So, we're in AI, let's do a new folder, machine learning. And in here, let's make a new note, and let's paste this thing here. And so this bit is really the text. And then we have, I'm gonna hop back to the first video and look at what actually said at the start. Sorry for the mess. First time I'm doing one of their courses. And they have the
Okay.
permission. Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking there's pandas too, right? There's other stuff. So why not have that here? Didn't they actually use it? They just hide it in the code from old, and that's why. Oh well, let's just copy this. We can just use this as stock and prediction demo. And this is like an introduction. So let's just put it all in here and run that. So I haven't used this in some time. And if we were to use this, we would probably do it in sections, right? And have output right here, for example, after the plot show. So I don't know, I think this will be. So it's still doing stuff. So now we have stuff coming up here. So first plot, second plot, third one, and some values too. So we know that it works running this. I don't know if it was useful though for me. A little data, a little more data. What else did we do? I'm thinking of actually rewatching the video. I was thinking a lot of getting it to run there. So it's supposed to be a demo. You're not supposed to run this one, I'm thinking in part. This is also a demo. And this is a demo, and this is a demo. It's called, this is not a demo. This is a demo. Not a demo. Not a demo. Demo. Demo kind of means video. Watch this. So if it's all demos and no real things to do, not a demo. So we're mostly watching videos. Should we just leave it for the demos and watch the next video and see what happens? The first
So
one
this lecture,
was
we're going to be
intro
learning
though.
how to do a stock price prediction. And we'll be focusing on a simple linear regression model. simply that'll be is that we'll be gathering stock data that will be going on Google search
Sounds
essentially.
very similar to the
We'll
first
be putting
one.
them on a scatter plot, and then with that we'll be able to grab a linear line that goes in between them. Think of it as like the average. And then with that we can use that model to predict future prices or
It's
future
not the
prices, vice
same
versa.
thing?
So essentially what we're doing is that we're going to predict stock prices using a simple linear regression model. We'll be gathering historical stock data, we'll be pre-processing it, and we'll train a linear regression model to make future
Two.
predictions. So let's get started with
One
that.
stock price,
Well, what we
two.
have to do is we have to import our required modules. Here I have our empty Google Colab with our Python environment already set up, and I'm going to import two modules. We're going to import matplotlib.pyplot, and we're going to do that as plt. And then I'm going to import SkyPy, and we're going to, or sorry, from SkyPy, we're going to import stats. And I can run this to see if it properly executes. If we get a check mark on the side, that means it ran with no errors. Perfect. So you might be wondering exactly what we're doing with this as keyword. Well, what we're doing is we're assigning an alias for our pyplot. So as developers, when we continue moving on, writing code can get quite tedious, especially if we're going to be calling modules like this, math.pyplot.pygraph, for example. This could get quite tedious to continuously write. And on top of that, it can get annoying to read as well, because we have to constantly see
As
pyplot,
PLT.
matplotlib. So Python has allowed us to introduce an alias. So rather than having to write this code, we can simply do PLT, and Python recognizes this as an alias. So it'll go to our modules, and then it'll recognize
So
it's a
this was
pyplot
not the
module.
basic
So simply go in
stuff.
that directory and be able to use that function that we need from there. And essentially, it's just an easier way to write our code that makes it both efficient for developers and for readers alike. So now that we've imported our required modules, what I need to do is I need to gather stock data. When any sort of model or linear regression model, we need to get data to be able to train our model. So how are we going to go about that?
So I still have
Well,
this up
we want to get
here.
stock prices for any sort of existing stock in our real world. I think for today's topic, we'll just choose Apple. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to Google search Apple stock prices, and actually I have them already here. Let me let that go down. There we go. So actually I have that right here. What we're doing here is that we are going searching up Google's stock price, the Apple stock price, and then with that, Apple or Google, sorry, Google has produced a graphical format of our stock, and that's within the span of 1 day, 5 days, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, and even 5 years, and even the max from the way beginning,
So I'm
way until.
sorry, but I actually just double clicked the file and it opened like this and okay. So that's interesting, right? It opened on top of my RSS read aloud because that's where it was, right? But we get it up here by just double clicking. Including the output, though we haven't got this installed even. Yeah, I think these files, they save the output too. This is IPyNB file, right? And that's what. I didn't even see that this was that. The first file that I opened, it was a Python file, right? So if I open this, it's also connected to idle. I don't know why. Let's fix that. Open web, studio code. Uh, let's see if we can run this. No module. That's just normal. So, I mean, need to get them if we want to do this. Uh, I'm just typing. We can continue. It's just interesting. I've never seen a IPyNB file opened in code before, but it did it like that. And that made me miss a bit of this. So I'm gonna start from
We're going to be
the
calling modules like this,
not that
math.pyplot.lib.
far back.
So and it'll recognize it's a pyplot module. So simply go in that directory and be able to use that function that we need from there. And essentially, it's just an easier way to write our code that makes it both efficient for developers and for readers alike. So now that we've imported our required modules, what I need to do is I need to gather stock data. when any sort of model or linear regression model, we need to get data to be able to train our model. So how we're going to go about that? Well, we want to get stock prices for any sort of existing stock in our real world. I think for today's company, we'll just choose Apple. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to Google search Apple stock prices, and actually I have them already here. Let me type it
Oh,
down.
that's what
There
I
you go.
was
So actually I have
doing.
that right here. What we're doing here is that we are searching up Google's stock price, the Apple stock price, and then with that, Google, sorry, Google has produced a graphical format of our stock. And that's within the span of 1 day, 5 days, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, and even 5 years, and even the max from the way beginning, way until 1983, which is a really long time ago. But we don't really want to work with this max data. In fact, we're just going to work with the first month. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize these month of data, and then we're going to record the date or how many days within the month
Last month, not
along with the stock
first
price.
month,
So
right?
essentially, think of it as the first day right here, October 9th, as day 0 or day 1, and then the stock price right here on November 7th as day 31, because I believe October 9th, October 7th, so that's probably just, I think that's just day 30. But yeah, just see it as like that. So what I'm going to do is with our new code block, we're going to set 2 arrays. We're going to call it dates, or we'll just call it days. Day, and then we're going to do prices. Make that equal to empty arrays. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set up and we're going to look at day 1, we're going to look at day 7,
It
14,
looks like
21,
exactly
and
the same
28.
on both,
The reason behind that
right?
is because we're just simply going to look at every, let's see if I look back to stock price, we're going to look at every Monday.
This is the
So we're going to keep
first
going with the
file.
chart, see whatever Monday comes up, and then we're going to record that price data. So first Monday will be 178.99. So let's go back to our code. And then inside our day 1, we're going to do
I'm also thinking why.
177.99. We'll go to the next Monday, which is basically 7 days from then. Or sorry, it's 178. So let me go back to that. 178. And then go back to this.
Same
This will
file,
be
but just
next Monday is 178.72.
IPyNB
So we'll go to
versus Python
178.72,
file.
and then go to the next one, next Monday. That will be
And now we don't have the squigglies. We didn't need to
173
restart
USD.
it.
So that will go there, 173, and we can just do 0.0 because we're kind of working with 2 decimal points. Next Monday, there we go. Next Monday is 170.29.
Yeah,
That's
it's
October
just
30th.
getting
So let's
getting
go
the
check
data.
that.
See if it
170.
takes as long for my computer as
Was
for
it 09, I
Google
believe?
to do
I
this.
believe we can go check. 29. And then we have 1st, 7th day, 14th day, 21st day. So let's go with the last Monday. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's 179.23. So let's go ahead. Go back to our code. 179.23. So
And he has
now
to
we have
figure
the
over
dates
the
and the price or
numbers.
stock prices associated with that day. So the first day it was $178.99. On the 7th day it was 178. 14th it was 173. 21 is 170, and 28 it was 179. So we run that code block, and now we've initialized our dates and our prices. I want to do a new code block, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize pyplots module. We're going to do a function called plt.scatter, and this will set a scatter plot for our data. And to do that, we simply just have to pair the
Oh,
days and the
sorry.
prices, 2
That
arrays in
was
one function,
mine.
and then that will set up a scatter plot. In order to show in our Google Colab, we're just going to do
Yeah,
plot
yeah. I've
show.
seen this before.
I run that, and then what should be produced
Can
is
Tai Win
a
says
scatter
just
plot
play
graph.
with
There we
Google
go. Now we have a
Colab.
scatter plot graph. Here we have our days ranging from 0 to 28, and then from stock
Yeah.
prices of below 170 to, let's say that's 180. Yeah,
The
that's
thing
similar.
is that I don't
But here we
like
have our scatter plot. Now what we're going to do
this
is we're going to ascend a
partly
linear
done
regression model, which will just
things.
be a line that
So
is in
if I
between
close
all of
this
these
one,
points.
it will
Think of it as
continue
like the
now.
average between all this. So to do that, we're going to do a new code block, and we're going to set up 5 variables. So the beauty of Python is that instead of having to
And
do
it opened
variable
another
1,
screen
variable 2,
again.
variable 3,
So we
we can
close
remove that
that.
and actually use commas.
We
And
get
if
a
we do
new
that, so
one.
we'll
We
do
close
slope,
that.
intercept.
We get a new
What
one.
will happen is that, say for example, we do
And
equal
we
to
close
5
that.
and 6, Python recognizes it as a
But we got
package,
it
and then
all
it'll
there
extrapolate the
without
5 into
running
the first
it
variable
even.
and the 6 into the second variable. So what we can do is we can utilize that when functions return multiple values. So let's make the certain function that we do, or we're going to be using, extrapolates 5 variables. So that'll be the slope,
Slope,
the intercept,
intercept,
the R value, the P value, and the standard error.
RP.
And then we're just going to make that equal to stats.linear, or
Invoking.
LIN, regression, and then we just feed in the dates and the prices. Yep. So what linear regression is doing is it will calculate a linear least squares regression for 2 sets of measurements. That will be the x and the y that will be providing it. But if I want to scroll through here,
So I
we
don't
see that it
mind
returns a slope
maths,
of the regression line that we produce,
but
the intercept of the
I
regression
kind of
line,
do.
the R value, which is a Pearson correlation coefficient, the square of the R values, and is equal to coefficient determination, the P value, which is a hypothesis test for who's null. Essentially, these
Don't
are all values that we're
read
not
the
really going to be working with for the last 3
documentation
values, but we still
on
should make them as
stream,
variables to kind of get an
on
understanding of what is
course
produced from a
even.
linear regression function. In fact, I can even show these values. So what we're going to do is we're going to print
Maybe
slope,
it's showing that
and
they
we're going to
are
print intercept, because that's really the only 2
there.
values we're working with today.
Right?
So this is what our slope is. Now, if you remember how lines work, lines, when they are plotted on a graph, follow this formula of y
So
equals mx plus b. The y value here is going to be equal to the slope times the x
I'm
value
thinking I should
plus
be
the
able to
intercept.
import
If
it,
you have trouble
right?
understanding that, I can
That's
even
what I
show in the future
wanted.
with our scatter plot because we'll be plotting out this linear regression model. But what we can essentially do is that if we have an x value, all we really have to do is plug it into that function with our slope and intercept values already set up too, and then we can grab our y value, which is the predicted stock price. So let's actually go ahead and do that. We're going to define a function.
This
We're
is
going
an
to
old
call
one,
it
2022.
linear.
I'll pause the video for a sec. So this is when also welcome to is from 2022. So that's when I did this last. And I was like, test, and then, oh, this is horrible. Let's see what the test is. This is a test. Let's see if it starts at the same time when it started. This is so slow. I was like, yeah, bye-bye. That was my test. So open. I want to open from my computer. Browse. Downloads. Machine learning mammoth. Source file. One. Resource. That one. So opening the same thing again with all the data already there. So we know we can do that at least, right? But we import it to our drive, we have it on our drive, it's taking space on our drive. But I'm going to go actually back a bit and see if there's anything useful in this that is not. Yeah, so here's, they filled in the data, that took him a long time. Then he does plot scatter, days prices, plot show. And this is what hops up the window for me, right?
I run that, and then what should be produced is a scatter plot graph. There we go. Now we have a scatter plot graph. Here we have our days ranging from 0 to 28, and then from stock prices
if you
of
have other
below 170 to, let's
suggestions
say that's
on good sources for
180.
this,
Yeah, I'd say 180.
just go
But here
for
we
it,
have
you
our
know.
scatter plot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to
But
assign
I've gotten
a linear
permissions
regression model, which
to
will just be a
show these
line
on
that is in
stream,
between all of these points. Think of it as like
all
the
of
average
their
between all these.
courses.
So to do that, we're going to do a new code block, and we're going to set up 5 variables. So the beauty of Python is that instead of having to do variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, we can remove that and actually use commas. And if we do that, so we'll do slope, intercept. What will happen is that, say for example, we do equals to 5 and 6, Python recognizes as a package, and then it will extrapolate the 5 into the first variable and the 6 into the second variable. So what we can do is we can utilize that when functions return multiple values. So let's make the certain function that we do, where we're going to be
That's
using,
good to
extrapolates 5
explain it.
variables. So that'll be the
Yeah,
slope,
I like
the intercept, the r value, the p value, and the
that.
standard
Arno
deviation.
Broy says hello.
And then we're just going to make that equal to
Hello,
stats
welcome in.
dot linear, or lin, regression, and then we
So
just
that's
feed in
just the
EPs
output, so return
and the prices.
values.
Yep.
Stats.
So what linear regression is doing is it will
Link
calculate linear least squares
regress.
regression for 2 sets of measurements. That will be the x and the y that will be providing it.
X,
But if
Y.
I want to scroll through here, I see that it returns a slope of the regression line that we produce, the intercept of the regression line.
I have
The r is
no
the
idea what a
Pearson
regression
correlation
line
coefficient, the
is.
square of the r values, and it's equal to coefficient determination. The p value, which is a hypothesis test for who's null. Essentially,
Reading
these are all
this
values that we're
doesn't
not really going to be working
help,
with, the
but
last 3 values, but we still should make them as variables to kind of get an understanding of what is produced from our linear regression function. In fact, I can even show these values. So what we're going to do is we're going to do print slope, and we're going to print intercept, because that's really the only 2 values we're working with today. So this is what our slope is. Now, if you remember how lines work, lines,
Tan
when I
Tai
plot on a
Win
graph,
says I
follow
use
this
Xcode
form.
Jupyter, but experience with Google Colab is better.
yeah, so I think I installed before like a server program locally that ran it. And that was not in VS Code, it was just some other editor. Maybe I used Notepad. Maybe I used Idle. I don't know. But obviously online is slow, right? And I could open it in VS Code if I wanted to here. So I just, yeah, just have to decide what I want to do for this course. I'm never going to use this, actually. IRL. I'm never going to use any notebook crap. That's just horrible. So I just want to see if there's knowledge I can get from this. And I don't know what linear regress is, but now we know like slope and intercept
Of y equals mx plus b.
are
The
have
y
these
value here is going to be equal
values.
to the slope times the x value plus the intercept. If you have trouble understanding that, I can even show in the future with our scatter plot, because we'll be plotting out this linear regression model. But what we can essentially do is that if we have an x value, all we really have to do is plug it into that function with our slope and intercept values already set up too, and then we can grab our y value.
We could just Google it too.
So let's actually go ahead and do
I
that.
never heard
We're
it.
going to define a function. We're going to call it linear prediction, and we're going to feed in only one value, the x value. Then we simply just have to return a calculation, which is going to be slope times x plus the intercept. That essentially is y equals mx plus b. Y equals the slope times the x value times the x value plus the intercept. And then I want to
Tywin
apply
says
this
it can
across.
share. Play, write some code on mobile phone. Share for my friend. I have a lot opened on Google Colab.
Okay. Share robots on a phone. Yeah, I can get that. I don't have a Python editor on my phone. But I have a laptop, right? I wouldn't. That's if I, instead of playing a little bit of a boring mobile game that just steals time when you go to the bathroom, or if you're in the train or something, you know, or on a bus, which I'm like once a month or twice, then maybe I could use it on my phone. Otherwise, I'm like, I have 3 screens here. It's much nicer to be able to have all the. You can have a video or a text or something. You can have a code editor. You can have whatever, you know. With a tiny phone screen, I even need glasses to see it now.
All my values. So what we're going to do is we're going to do model equals
But I
list,
see
which
that
is essentially
use,
just going to be
definitely.
creating a list of values, map, and then what map will do is that we have to first provide a function which will be linear prediction, and then we press apply across
I
screens.
never used any of these functions, right? So that's what's new to me here. So he explained how the return values were put in there, but he did not say what is a linear regression. I don't care what the in values and out values are as much as what actually does this thing mean. So let's just Google it. Linear regression. Used to predict a value of a variable based on the value of another variable. The variable you want to predict is called dependent variable. The variable you're using to predict the other variable is called the independent variable. Okay, so let's look at IBM's explanation. They usually have good YouTube videos too, I think. Gosh. We got an uncompatible page. And it's so slow that I can't even click here. So why would people want to block Dark Reader, right? It might work sometimes if you just wait. I shouldn't go back and forth so many times. So I'm okay with IBM cookies. Yeah, I think maybe it was just time that it hadn't loaded yet. Let's actually F5 the page. See if we can get the menus to be better. They're bright again. We have the gray text again. Has it all loaded this time?
Tywin says reading mode.
Reading mode. I just want dark mode. Turn it off. Turn it on. I'm just waiting. There, most of it is dark. So, but we can't get rid of this line unless reading mode? What's reading mode? Is this something you can decide here? Reading mode. Reading mode? What's it? What's that? These may have a actual option, right? For dark mode. So like something here. What did I click here? No, I'm not gonna look for dark mode. I'm gonna read this. What is linear regression? Ebook. Unlock the power of generative AI plus ML. Read the ebook. Analysis is used to predict the value of a variable based on the value of another variable. And then we read about
Can Tai Win
dependent
says
and
reading mode on the
independent.
URL bar.
Here, it's like this thing. Reader view. Oh God, no. Oh no. Oh, that was ugly. It wasn't bright light though. I think we'll have to wait again. So I couldn't see the things around it.
Pandatong says.
Have a good night, Sophia. Time to get out of work.
Good night, Panda. Thank you for being here. Have a great evening. Hope you had solved all the things at work and survived the rest of the day there after
Bye.
the 2-hour call. Bye bye. So let's see here. Again, we go up, we go on, and we should get black back. There. I can live with this. I don't want to live without the things on the sides and stuff. That's like too clean and I don't like it. So we read about dependent and independent. Independent was the one used to predict the dependent, okay? So this form of analysis estimated the coefficients of the linear equation involving one or more independent variables as best predict the value of the dependent variable. Linear regression fits a straight line or surface that minimizes discrepancies between predicted and actual output values. So it hasn't really said anything. So we want to predict as good as possible, but how do you
Ravana
predict
Bhuvan
it?
says hello.
Hello, welcome in. So there are simple linear regression calculations that use a least squares method to discover the best fit line for a set of paired data. You then estimate the value of x, dependent value from y. So x and y is what these dependent or independent are usually used, but I still don't know how it is predicted, right? We have data, and it is like a curve, right? Because it's values, or in this case, like just I can't see them on screen, so
Asuzi says.
we scroll
Hello.
Hello, welcome in. So tell me more. Generate predictions more easily. You can perform linear regression in Microsoft Excel. Yeah, nah, I don't want to do it. I want to know it works. That's what you're supposed to tell me. Why
Good
it's
evening.
important? Good evening. Yeah, it's like midnight here, right? I can't. Here it pops up. 0002. It's the 7th of June now. So why it is important? Proven way to significantly and reliably protect the future. Business and organizational leader can make better decisions by using linear regression techniques. Organization collect masses of data, and linear regression helps them use that data to better manage reality. Instead of relying on experience and intuition. Isn't that intuition? Prediction. You can take large amount of raw data and transmit into actionable information.
I'll be back soon.
Okay, be that. Welcome back later. So I'm thinking, I want to know how it works in detail. I don't want to know that this is good for business, right? You can also use. I don't want to know what you can use it for. I want to know how it works. Roles users are just already, for example, analysis on sales. Yeah, I don't care. Assumption of effective assumptions. Consider a successful linear versus analysis. This is more to the facts. For each variable, consider the number of valid cases, mean and standard deviation. Yeah. For each model, consider regression coefficients, correlation matrix, part and partial correlation, multiple R, R2. What is R? I don't know. Adjustment R2, changing R2. Standard error of estimate, analysis of value table, predicted values and residuals. Is that R? Also consider 25% coefficients, intervals for each regression coefficient. Variance coefficient matrix. So I think I can skip the rest of the words because it's just blah 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 for me. So tell me how it works. I think it's ChatGPT time, right? So they assume that I know a lot of terms I have no clue about. Explain. Linear regression to a programmer without using math, without using math, no, explaining all math terms, please. So that's better, right? Sure. To model the relationship between inputs x and output y, and we read about x and y, the straight line that best fits the data, basic equation, simple linear regression. So just a m plus b. Well, just a normal line where y predicted value output, x input value feature. Well, input value is enough. M slope of the line. Yeah, much y changes for each unit change in x. But we have a lot of points here in. We're talking stocks here, right? B intersect when, yeah. So this is like the start point. You have data, a data set of n pairs, and let's hop back until we can see the data. Here's the data. We have days and prices. This is the data. And line, you want to find M and B. So for the line. So they're just calculating a line from these. It sounds very stupid. Like just a mean line. Is that what they're doing? They have the same meaning. Error function, mean squared error, MSE. We measure how far our predictions are from the real y values. So we do it for, we have these values and these values. Try to predict these and see how wrong we are, I'm assuming then.
Ravana Bhuvan
and
says,
so
are you
on.
teaching? Because I am a beginner and searching for tutorials.
No, I'm just learning myself, but we were watching a video or a course on this, and we're researching what I don't understand. I don't know what linear regression is, and that's a function that they use in the Python code. And I don't know what that does, so I need to know what it does, because otherwise I can't understand exactly what it's doing. And I want to understand it, not just know how to get a result using code I don't understand, right? I want to know exactly how it works. Some people say that people don't know how AI works or anything, but nah, we want to know everything that works. So please stay and learn let's learn together. And if you have something that I don't know, please tell me. That's usually how my streams work, even if it's whatever cybersecurity topic or anything. So if you know more than me, please help, and if I know more than you, I'll teach. So we measure how far predictions are from the real values, and this looks like gooey gooey. Yeah. So I remember these from like, I didn't exit school last year, right? I haven't done this kind of math in a bit. Where yi, but we can read it, is that this is the actual value and this is the predicted. I'm kind of assuming, right? Yeah, the predicted value. And they don't just do this for one, but for all of them. So I kind of asked it not to do this kind of thing without explaining, right? That it's ChatGPT, it's not a real paper, it's not smart. The goal is in a way to minimize error, obviously, but obviously you can never predict anything. From calculus, here we derive formulas, but I said no maths without explaining it. It actually explains that this is, I knew this is a sum, but here it uses it without explaining and the things around it, and it was so long I used it. Added up over all points. Yeah. You need to know the language to understand. X, Y, multiply each. So I'm gonna skip this bit, and we'll ask again if we need it. In programming terms, you compute the best M and B using these formulas, then use them to predict X for any new Y for any new X. So summary, linear regression fits a line through your data by minimizing the average squared difference between. This was lots of maths formulas. I didn't see one for like at least 25 years. Uh, uh, Terms are okay if you explain. Sorry, them. But please, no complex formulas. So far, I understand that we're trying to predict the next value in a series. And we calculate lines to for every existing position we know, and then comparing the actual and calculated to the value, and then adding 1 to the end. Why? I don't think it will care if I misspell stuff. Let's do math formulas instead. Terms are okay. So it doesn't like okay. Well, it is the word we use. Please explain in words like this, not using formulas. More in words like this. So we got it. Let's go through the linear regression the way you explained it to someone who knows logic and program but hasn't touched math formulas for decades. Imagine you have a bunch of points on a graph. Each point has a known pair of values, something you control, like time, temperature, size, something you return like price, reaction score. You want to figure out a general rule that connects them, like drawing a straight line that gets close as possible to all the dots. To all the dots. Okay, a straight line that you get close to all the dots that are scattered around. Well, that's 2 less math. We could have said like that at least. What are we trying to do? We're trying to find the straightest, simplest path through your data so you can describe the trend when X goes up, Y tends to go up too. So X is not just one value I'm assuming here. So of course, predict new values, like guessing the next value if you haven't seen it yet. If you had 1, 3, 2, 5, 3, 7, 4, 9. Yeah, we would kind of know what to have, right? We might guess that the next y is 5, is where x is 5 is 11. That's because the pattern is time x increased by 1, y increased by 2. The line is following a steady rule. How do we find that rule? We assume that rule is a straight line. For every change in x, y changes in a particular way. So we guess the line, then check how far off we are from the actual data point. What difference? That difference is called the error. So the guess and how far off, that's what I said in my this is what I understand, right? Then we adjust the line so the total error is as small as possible. Total. Not for just one point, but for all of them together. Usually you focus on squared errors because it punishes big mistakes more than small ones and makes them not behave nicely. Okay, so that's why we square them, because we want the big ones to go mega big. Punish, is that the right word? So I was thinking that if it's a big error, we don't want to make it affect us much, but they wanted to affect it extra much. Sure. Okay. I can be okay with that. I would think like if it's something very off, maybe it's just 1. That's off. Okay. So, try a line, measure how wrong it is for every point, sum up all the squared wrongs. Sum up all the squared wrongs. So for the first point, for the same line then, because I was thinking one line for every point and then we adjust it, but that's what they think too, only they do it for all of them every time. So for the first one, we do it for only one. Then for the next one, we do it for both. And the sum of the wrongs squared. Adjust the line to reduce the total wrongness. Repeat until the line can't get closer overall. Repeat. Not repeat once per dot and continue on, but what? What do the parts, I mean, will it repeat it several times for the same one? This makes it sound like that. Repeat until the line comes closer. So what do the parts of the line mean? We build a rule that looks like start at some base x value, add a fixed amount for each step forward in x. Now this rule has two parts. The slope, how steep the line is, shows us how y increases or decreases as x grows. The intercept, the x value when 0 is x is 0, starting point of the line. So I think they mentioned intercept. So as soon as I read this, I was like skipping this, but I want to read everything. So that's what sloop and intercept is. Maybe we should make our own word list, right? So we have this is not from here, but it is still in here. And where did this one end up? So move to AI and there. And yeah, now it moved it. Odd. You should always right click and make me fall in the right place. I actually used this button, that's why it went bananas. So linear regression. And this is really not in the course. It's more like an AI thing or a math thing. But for me, it's AI because I don't have any other math things that I care about. So I kind of just copy this bit. And the variable we want to predict is called predict. It's called dependent variable. And we're going to do comma x. The variable you're using to predict the other variable. This is not needed. It's called the independent variable. Using the variable, this is x. This is y. It's called. So the variable you're using to predict the other variable predict is called the independent variable. The variable you want to predict, you're trying to predict, is called the dependent variable. So the value of a variable based on the value of another variable. And then we go ChatGPT. So let's see how much else there is. There's a little bit more. So let's just make a little, yeah, here's the start. So this is just Baha, not necessary. Examples, that's why it's Baha, because it was just an example. We don't need that basic stuff. So how do we find the rule? We assume the rule is a straight line. Just we're trying to find the straightest, simplest path through our data so we can describe the trend, predict new values. So you might guess the next time that's because pattern is. We assume the rule is a straight line for x, blah blah blah. We adjust the line so the total error. So what I do is usually to like summarize information so it's easy to understand for anyone is my hope. And my notes are available on physics42.com/notes. And those are not updated fully. And there's also on my GitHub. They're also there. And those are a little bit more updated. Maybe not right now though. I think I haven't updated in a bit. You can see in my public one here, I have a lot of not updated stuff here. Lots of stuff. So yeah. So we get the one, then check for how far we are from the actual data point. So different is called error. And the assume rules, I don't care about this. We guess a line, check how far off we're from each actual data. And I might rewrite this myself, but I want all the like. Then we adjust the line so the total error is as small as possible. Not for just one point, but for all of them together. And squared ones. Let's put this one in there too. And now this is not my words. It is ChatGPT's. So I will probably change the stuff so it's my words later. So it's like this. Try a line, measure how wrong it is for every point, sum up all the squared wrongs. We can cover this too. And then I'm going to remove bits of this because this is getting too long. I'm just deleting the space. It made 2 lines for everyone, so there. Put extra lines in there. What are the parts of the line? I didn't read this before. That sounds odd. We build a rule that looks like start at some base y value, then add a fixed amount for each step. I think the XY example is bad here. Their values. This rule has 2 parts. You're not going to predict a straight line. You know what the value is, so it's not good. This rule has 2 parts: the slope Right. This I want. So let's see if we need anything here. We build a room that looks like start at some x value, fixed amount, stuff. Yeah, that's not good. So the slope and the intercept. Let's just get this. Hi, I'm sick. Oh, what happened? No TDS? Alright. What happened? What happened to TDS? Guys, what are you doing to the TDS here? Don't speak. Reference. At Panda. Oh, Panda left work. Panda left work.
Neovem says.
You muted it, smile, smile.
Yeah, ads are muted. Let's fix that. I don't really want them. I muted. So, speak at username messages, referencing others. So I didn't change the setting. I think it kind of resets stuff sometimes. So sorry. Yeah, and it didn't, since you didn't have any characters of that with your smart inserted space there. So how's everything? I should call you Nevin, right? Nevin. It wasn't even 4. I thought it was 4 on the IRL stream there. I was like, no one else but Amsec would set their username to know him 4 times. And now it's actually 6.
I forgot I changed it to Neovim, haha.
Data set.
I can
What's up,
imagine
Mr.
who it
Magoo?
was for. So let's hop it back to so I can see the stream. So this is kind of funny thing. Do you know we have as many people on Twitch and YouTube? So today has been like very YouTube day. So hello everybody on YouTube, and I stream on Twitch and YouTube, and on Twitch you have like redeems too, so you can make me do push-ups and stuff. Yes, you know. But I'm gonna figure out how this works now here. So I want this bit. We build a rule for this with 2 parts, but we don't want the odd predicting a straight line thing, right? And then we're gonna. So did you mess with this?
Sex says Neovim,
MSec?
Neovim.
Yeah, it's not like it. So I would never use Novem, but I wouldn't tell anyone else what to do. So how did you make it do that, by the way? How do you look at the TDS again? I can't see it anywhere. You're hacking the stream. Oh, and then someone hopped off YouTube. I don't know if it is the fact that I started doing other stuff or if someone hopped over to Twitch. We'll see. We'll see. Twitch stats and YouTube stats are not very good either, so. So once I figured those out, you can make predictions.
Neovem says.
Dick.
Translated from Dutch.
So once we've figured those out, we can make predictions by plugging in the new X and using the rule to get y. But this will have to change for every value, right? So it won't be the same. That would be a very odd stock price prediction, which is their base thing here. Very, very odd. So from programmer, you get all of your XY points, how to calculate. You calculate how they move together. Are they going up together, or is one going up while the other goes down? So we have a time here, but of course this could be any kind of value, right? It might be temperature in different countries. How could we predict the temperature in a separate country then? That's crazy. It needs to be almost a time thing, right? Something that's connected anyway. You calculate the best slope and intercept based on that pattern. Now you feed in x and predicted y. Final analogy. It's like drawing a line of best fit on graph paper with your pencil, but instead of using your eyes, you let your computer try hundreds of tiny adjustments until it finds at least one straight line. Once it has that, it can continue the line forward to guess. Yeah, so it's a very like, it's just like a mean value thing in the middle of it, and that's could have been said in 3 words almost. Let me know if you want the number of multiple inputs if you're predicting x using more than one, y using more than one x, or so. That sounds like a very simple thing for a human. Going on feeling, right? And maybe the explanation. Yes. I don't want to change it. The explanation. Like a line kind of thing. And the middle there. Let's see what it says about that. And just follow it. Exactly, nail it. And his current linear regression is just drawing the best guess line through the cloud of points, like a human would eyeball middle of a scatter and think, yeah, looks like it's kind of like this. Yeah. Think of it this way: you're just trying to draw a straight line. That's what I would have wanted to answer that. That goes
What
through
are you using to
average.
study?
So what we have courses from Mammoth, and they're going from Mammoth Interactive to Mammoth Club now, but these are still on Mammoth Interactive, and I got permission to stream the courses. Only this one was, so we're just on the second video, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what. He's like explaining how output from a function is split. I'm like, yeah, I know that, but what does this mean? And he doesn't explain that, you know? So I need to know. Now I know what this function does, kinda, right? So we have slope intercept, and that's why I want these words in here. So let's see, we have independent, yeah, dependent. We have delta, yeah, slope and intercept. So no, it should be there. Slope and intercept. Slope, intercept are the ones that we care apparently about here. We have also R, which was in the maths. I don't know what P is still. R is R, right? But R and P too. Let's check those out. Because if we scroll up
It's
to
Sci
the
by Smile,
actual,
web link.
yeah. And this is not what I love. So let's see if we can realize what R and P are too. But I'm kind of guessing that they might be these two. Let's go back to where I was reading. Yeah, let's continue here. But first, let's open your link. And SciPy. I think he said SkyPy. Yes, I have heard people like Scapy something else, or is it this too? Is it another version? But it sounded fun with SkyPie. It sounded funny, as it is obviously Sci and stuff, right? That's what I read.
Scapy is another library.
Yeah, it's another library. So, but there's another one I would rather avoid. I don't remember exactly though. Maybe, yeah. There's a lot of libraries that has to do with maths and stuff that I guess I should learn anything anyway, right? So let's read the last bit here. So let's get my explanation. Let's just copy what I wrote there and let's put that in the notes. At the
Scapy is
top.
fun. It's for messing about with network packets.
Yeah, that's a network one. Oh right. Yeah, I was thinking, is it another one of the math thing or is it the network one? So, like a meme kind of thing in the middle there, and just follow it. When you're there in the middle of all the dots, because that was implied here. And just follow it to where it'll be next. Human. This is math, dude. Actually, it started with formulas, right? And I said, I think it was 25 years since I saw math formula. So even if I said it, asked it to explain everything, yeah, I remember the some character. But this is like, why? I said like not mathy, right? So let's just see if it said something useful there. Think of it this way: you're just trying to draw a straight line that goes through the average direction of the dots, not perfectly through all of them, but close enough to give you a general trend. Only thing is that I'm thinking that if we're doing like prediction of a, as this is, right? Because stock prices, couldn't, if you just have all the history of it would be odd to just have the average of everything. There must be more things in there, right? It's not, maybe that's not what you're supposed to do, but that's how they're kind of doing using it, or what? I don't get it. If the dots kind of grouping up, your line slopes up. If they're grouping down, slopes down. They're all over the place. It might just be flat. And then you say, okay, follow the line a bit
Rishi Verma
further.
says, I
That's the
think if you
next
just
one.
ask GPT to tell you what each symbol does is will help you because I think those are pretty easy.
Yeah, I know what the symbols are. It's just that I don't want that. I want words. That's what I want. Okay? And I don't plan to do any maths like that again, ever, if I can avoid it. Except for an Excel with a sun character, maybe. So, what I wanted is just the thing I wrote there, right? It's like, I just want a quick explanation of a function. It's like a mean trend estimator. Not always perfect, but better than guessing. Human eyeball, yeah. Systematically, yes. So kind of thing in the middle. So why is someone using this to predict stock prices? And I hope the answer is they shouldn't, right?
The descriptions for value and p-value are hurting my brain, haha.
R value and P value. Oh, you got those. Okay. Yeah, I should ask. I should ask it here. Uh, great for predicting. It's not great. Yeah. So that's what I assumed. But we could try it anyway. Yeah, I'm just skipping the rest. Stocks are not linear. Yeah. Panic, rumors, algorithm. So not good for. This is actually good for something. Detecting general momentum. Yeah, I agree. So that is why I did not see the meaning of this, because it was not logical. So just a sec. Escriben.
Ja, Laurens dator han behöver tömma hårddisken.
Va?
Ja, han får
Just
besked om
implement a
han har
hodl strategy lol.
han får kolla. Men han behöver sova. Han har inte sovit på
Ja.
2 dygn.
Nej, jo, det har han gjort, men han har inte sovit 24 timmar nu. Labban, du behöver sova. Pappa sa att du behövde någon hjälp med någonting. Okej, men då kollar vi den imorgon då. Vi får gå och sova nu. Okej, vi kollar på det imorgon, men du behöver sova nu, okej? Yes, good. Jag vet det. Jag vet, jag förstår. Det var pappa som kom till mig bara. Och han är orolig för det också. Okej. Det är en så gott bra. Sen kommer jag till mig för att han blir orolig. Jag vet att du är på G. Men klockan är nästan 1 också. Så jag har ett till. Jag pratar bara. Så imorgon kanske vi kan cykla lite.
Maybe. Älskar det.
So, my kids should be sleeping, especially the one who woke up extremely late. Like yesterday, he woke up at 13 maybe, and he hasn't been sleeping since. So he didn't sleep during the night, but it's still not 48 hours or anything. And he says he's going to go to bed, so I trust that. But sometimes he has problems doing it. So let's just continue. So human, and let's XY. Yeah, let's grab those that hurt your brain. Actually, let's please explain the R and P values in the SciPy lane regress, return values. Have these be mentioned here? Great question. No, we haven't mentioned the R and P values yet. They're part of this. That's a quality check of the line, not part of drawing it. Here's what they mean in human terms. R value is a correlation coefficient. This tells you how well the line fits the data. Oh, -1 to 1. Okay. Human readable. I don't think I need more. Often the square, we square this value. This is what is squared. So then it was actually mentioned to get the how much of the data is explained by the line. Yeah. How trustworthy is this line? It's like a general prediction value then, because it's but this is a probability value. P tells you how likely it is that the trend you see is just random chance. A small p value 0.01 means it is unlikely this trend is random, probably a real relationship. This is flummier, right? Yeah. So why? Let's see why they are. How strong the line's direction is, could it fit? So what I want to know is how will it know this from the data? How steadily statistics is the most boring thing I can imagine in the world, right? That's why I don't like this kind of thing. If both are solid, yeah. So how are these calculated? Remember, let's even say please. Remember how I want the answers. So it doesn't do a math formula. Perfect, let's explain how R value and P value are calculated in plain words, no complex formulas, and keeping everything intuitive. R value, correlation strength. So this tells you how tightly X and Y move together. Okay. It looks at how I kind of want the formula now too. It looks at X and Y change together like when X goes up, does Y usually go up too? I'm assuming that, yeah, now I know. X is the old value, Y is new. I'm thinking graph now, and then we have only X values in time, kinda, and Y value is the last one. Is it predicted? Or is it talking about X and Y in XY? So I'm assuming the same definition as before. If they rise and fall in sync, the value is close to 1. If they move in opposite direction, it's close to -1. If there's no clear pattern, it's close to 0. So things like this. It watches both signals and checks whether p-value, likely it's how likely it's just random. If there's no real correlation. Yeah, I don't care what it means. I want to know how you calculate it. Here's how it's done. Let's assume there's no relationship at all. Null hypothesis. It looks at your actual result, your line slope and value. It says if we shovel the data randomly a bunch of times, how like it does it. It doesn't look at it. It's not if. Often we would get something less strong by chance. Okay. So it's just randomizing the data and see if we get the same thing. Randomizing the position of the data. Yeah, I don't like the analogies. Summary real words. Checks if X and Y rise and fall together. Checks how surprising that pattern is or this coincidence. So, I assume X and Y here use the same definition as before, and meaning X is the value we have, and Y is the one we predict. And here I want to add a S, right? Let's see what it says. Yeah. All thing you can control observed. No. Is what you predict. Output dependent variable. Or the thing with response to X price score is inserted in the context of XY. Checking how well Y, like you're trying to predict, follows or reacts to the changes in X. Checking screen time 130 plus 7. No, what did I do the first one? 7:30, I think, maybe 8 hours. So we're on like close enough to 10. I made a new stream because I don't want YouTube to just kill the stream. As it's Friday night and I won't be streaming during the weekend, I wanna use the time now. So it is mostly talking about how much we can believe this not very well calculated value in this case. So let's actually check what those are then. We could like 2 millisecond work. We need to add this, right, into the notes. It compares like how much bounce around on row. Yeah, I think I will grab these 2 bits here, and I think I will skip the. Should we grab the analogies too? And then we have also the R value and P value in a not complicated way. Chat human meaning me. So now we can continue
Times the X
on the
value
second
plus the
video.
intercept. If you have trouble understanding that, I can even show in the future with our scatter plot because we'll be plotting out this linear
Let's
regression plot
actually back because I don't think that.
So to do that, we're going to do a new code block, and we're going to set up 5 variables.
I
So the
thought
beauty of
this
Python
was
is that
just
instead
too
of having to do
simple. It
variable
couldn't
1,
be
variable 2,
this,
variable 3,
right?
we can remove that and actually use commas. And if we do
That's
that, so we'll do
otherwise
so
I wouldn't have even
intercept.
cared about finding out.
What will happen is that, say for example, you do equals to 5 and 6.
It's such a
Python
simple
recognizes
one.
as a package, and then it will extrapolate the 5 into the first variable, or we're going to make that equal to prices.
So one
Intercept the R value, the P value, and the standard error. And then we're just going to make that equal to stats.linear, or LIN, regression, and then we just feed in the dates and the prices. Yep. So what linear regression is doing is it will calculate a linear least squares regression for 2 sets of measurements. That will be the x and the y that will be providing it. But if I want to scroll through here, I see that it returns the slope of the regression line that we produce, the intercept of the regression line, The R value, which is a Pearson correlation coefficient, the square of the R values, and then it's equal to coefficient determination. The P value, which is a hypothesis test for who's null. Essentially, these are all values that we're not really going to be working with, the last three values, but we still should make them as variables to kind of get an understanding of what is produced from our linear regression function.
So this is why I
I can even
needed
show these
more,
values. So what we're
because I
going to do
never
is we're going to print
heard of it,
slope,
right? I knew Wilson's.
and we're going to print intercept, because that's really the only two values we're working with today. So this is what our slope is.
So to go back and check here, slope and slope is how steep the line is, and intercept is just the starting point of the line. So starting point and the slope. I'm trying to scroll up here as
If you remember
much as
how lines
possible.
work, lines, when they are plotted on a graph, follow this formula of y equals mx plus b. The y value here is going to be equal to the slope times the x value plus the intercept. If you have trouble understanding that, I can even show in the future with our scatter plot, because we'll be plotting out this linear regression model. But what we can essentially do is that if we have an x value, all we really have to do is plug it into that function with our slope and intercept values already set up too, and then we can grab our y value, which is the predicted stock price. So let's actually go ahead and do that. We're going to define a function. We're going to call it linear prediction plus the intercept. That's essentially is
Slope
y equals
times
mx
x
plus b.
plus
Y equals the slope times
so
the x value.
the angle times the lost value, or the value we already have, plus where it started at. How steep the line is. Let's just like the normal. How fast x increases or decreases as x grows. So I'm seeing with a curve, everything of this is like odd when it's lines and this is really a curve, right?
Times the x value plus the intercept.
So I have
And
problems
then
with
I want
that.
to apply this across all my values. So what we're going to do is we're going to do model equals to list, which is essentially just going to be creating a list of values, map, and then what map will do is that we have to first provide a function which will be linear prediction, and then we press apply across dates. So what it's going to do now that we have a slope and intercept is that we are going to go through all the dates here from 1, 7, 14, 21, 28, and then predict those using our formula. They might be different than what the actual prediction is, but that's essentially how we're going to be training our model. So let's run this. Oh, sorry, not dates, it is days. There we go. And then I'm going to assign a new code block, and then we're going to show our linear regression model. So it's going to be plot.scatter, days, and then prices. But I also want to...
The question is if this is useful for me later or not. I totally hate plots.
plot our line. So you're going to use pyplot the .plot function that allows us to plot a line. It'll be dates and then model. And then finally, we're going to show it. Run that. Oh, sorry. That's supposed to be days again, making that same error. And there we go. This is our linear regression model that is essentially in between all these points. We have our slope value, which is essentially negative. What that means is it's slowly going down. And our intercept value, which is starting at 177. It's a little bit awkward because...
And also, it's going down and the last point is the highest, right? So, if it was a human, they would probably guess somewhere higher, right?
The starting value, which is 0, but I think, or sorry, the starting value is 1. But I think that's fine. In fact, if you want, we can actually change it to do 0, and let's see if it gets a bit closer to the edge. I'll run this code again. I think we'll get a new slope value. No, same. A little bit different. But yeah, it's a little bit more close to 0. I think that's just pyplot's doing where it's like going towards a negative, so we can just ignore that. And this is our linear regression model. Now, the way we can go about predicting it is simply by just calling this function, feeding it a day within any of the months, and then just feeding it the price. In fact, we can even go further beyond this month by just simply just doing maybe 31, 35, 36. And in fact, let's go ahead and do that. What we'll do is we'll do new price 1 will equal to line prediction, and we'll feed it 18, or we'll feed it 19, we'll feed it 19, and then what we can do is we can just simply print new price 1. If we call that, oh, sorry.
But 19 is before the last.
This prediction model is essentially saying that on day 18 or day 19, the stock price of Apple is going to be equal to 175.47. So on this graph, we can plot that here. Day 19 is around this area. We go up to our line, and that's in the 175 area, kind of right here in between this 76 and 74. You can kind of see it's in the third quarter here, which makes sense because 175.5. So this would be 175, and in between 175 and 166 would be 175.5.
Yeah,
And
this is
that's kind of right
horrible.
here. We can even go further beyond that. So rather than having to stick to 30 days, we can do new price 2 equals 2 prediction. We'll do 35. And then let's print that. Print new price
Yes, now it's
2.
actually
Let me scroll down so you can see that.
here, but
And
it's
there.
still just a line.
Essentially, the prediction model is saying is that the stock price of day
Predicting a
35, so
curve with
beyond
a
October,
line.
or beyond November 9th, I believe that's when it ended.
I'm just like,
No,
no.
November 7th or 9th. We have a stock price of 173.6. Now, obviously, that might change. It might not actually be equal to 173.6, but that's using this model and this trained data right here. Essentially, that's saying is that with all the data we have here, tell me what you can predict what day 35 would be. And our machine is saying, well, day 35, considering that most of the stock has been slowly kind of decreasing, we would expect day 35 to be 173.6, meaning that this stock price would go down. And that's kind of what linear regression model is. Using our data right here, we're able to find an average between those, generating a line, and then by correlating the x value by the slope
Not
and
like
intercept
this
values here,
lol
we're
said
able to
Pika.
produce what the predicted
Yeah,
is,
yeah, that's what I'm feeling. You totally understand me. Yeah, so we downloaded this. Let's see if there's something more useful here. Preparing our test data for our model demo. And this time I'm going to hop to the source files first before we start the video and just download this. And of course they call it the same thing, right? Because not doing that would have been useful. So, like calling it whatever it was in there. I'm sorry. I always get annoyed when it
Welcome to
makes
today's
me
lesson.
work
In today's lesson, we're going to be learning logistics regression. We'll be
from not
using a
doing
logistics
stuff.
regression model to essentially predict whether an email is a spam or not. We'll be first creating our testing set, and then with that we'll be training our logistics regression model, and then finally we'll create a spam email classifier, and by analyzing our testing set we'll be able to dictate which email or message is either spam or regular. So what I would have here is I have my empty Google Colab with Python already installed and everything. And what we're going to do is we're going to first import our required modules, 4 specifically.
Negative dropping says.
So what I want to do is I want to import.
BS by
Whoa!
blank.
One that managed to get past my little filter thingy. It's almost like it's allowed. Let's copy this one. I'm just gonna put it in the notepad for now. I'll find some pattern to add it. Let's just remove it too. So I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know how to remove a message. Yeah, I think it is maybe here. No, I can only pin it. I can only pin the message. Sorry, guys. It'll have to be there.
Matplotlib. Oh, sorry. Matplotlib.pyplot. And we're going to create that as PLT. Then I'm going to import numpy as np. Then I'm also going to import the sklearn.linear models because we're going to be relying on that. And we're going to be importing the
learn the linear model.
Regression model.
Logistic
I also want to
regression.
produce metrics for our model, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do sklearn.metrics, import classification report, underscore report, I believe, did I spell that right? Classification report, and then we also want to import the confusion matrix. So I'm going to run that. And if you're wondering exactly what we're doing with the
add some extra
here,
confusion at the
is
end.
that we are setting an alias for our required modules. So rather than having to write, for example, pyplot.showgraph, for example, this can get quite tedious, especially in the long run when we're calling this function several times. So rather than having to do that, Python allows us to send alias for pyplot by simply doing plt, and it recognizes this as an alias. So we'll go back to
We
our
forgot
modules,
to
recognize that
write
pyplot is a
matplotlib, but
alias, and essentially it's the same thing as
pyplot
what we
if
had
I'm going to,
before,
because
except
it
in a
did
shorter
lost.
format. Thereby, it
It
just makes
looked
it
even
easier for
longer
us to
back.
essentially code and easier for people to read as well.
Huh.
So I've imported our modules. Now that we import our modules, essentially what I do is I want to start by getting my
Well,
testing
this
set
was
done.
mine, I guess.
So the way I'm going to go about this is that I'm going to have a set of spam words. These are common words amongst spam messages.
Should I speed up? I guess not,
So
right?
what I'm going to do is I'm going to do spam words, make an array. And the common ones that I've seen
Aquaman Gaming says
data,
hi.
Drawing.
Hi, welcome in.
Gift.
So we're looking at
Illegal.
confusion.
Lottery. Fishing.
Bringing sexy back says.
And then
scam. Negative dropping. Ooh, what about fire?
Essentially, these are just words that you can see most commonly across a lot of spam words. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to have 8 messages.
Elsa, what did you do there? It almost it translated yours. Did you see? So this is a chat message. How did you evade the chat filter with all of the odd letters it usually uses, right? And the bot translated it. What about filter on this? It actually translated it. That's Google translating it. Yeah. It's not even Google understands. So it's just putting words.
Half of them will be spam, half of them will be.
Maybe this is what we should
in
use
that,
instead.
I will be putting up all these spam words inside those messages.
I've been thinking
to
about
insinuate if it's a spam or not.
Maybe we should do a regex thing.
Then when we have our spam
instead.
email, what I want to do is I'm going to create a function that will essentially parse those messages word by word and see if it's within this array.
Like all possibilities of all the letters.
If it is, it's going to increase the count for that specific message. And if it's over a certain number, we'll classify it as spam. So the way to go about this is I'm going to do a new code block, and then I'm going to have 2 arrays. We're going to create a spam email, or sorry, we'll call it a spam messages. And then I'm going to create another array, we're going to call it real message.
The translation from the yes, and no
I'm just going
reading.
to make sure I did data, I made these right? Gift, legal.
So again, for whoever didn't see, I don't even understand. Haha. This is actually a Swedish letter. So it's A. That's A. A in Swedish is A. And then A with the dots. And then we have O with the ring on top. O, is O with 2 dots. I have to look at what the TTS did here. You broke it. You broke the TDS. It doesn't even show the message. Yeah. And here you see this is what it does to get past. But also this one is not in there. And it also did the ads. So there's lots of tricks in there trying to evade stuff.
Lottery, fishing, attack.
So I think I missed a little bit there
from laughing. Function that will essentially parse those messages word by word and see if it's within this array. Essentially seeing if it's a spam word. If it is, it's going to increase the count for that specific message. And if it's over a certain number, we'll classify it as spam. So the way to go about this is
we don't need anything complicated to do.
Block, and then I'm going to have 2 arrays. We're going to create a spam email, or sorry, we'll call it a spam messages. And then I'm going to create another array, we're going to call it real messages. I'm just going to make sure I did data, I made these right? Gift, legal, lottery, fishing, attack, and scam. Oh, sorry. There we go.
So a scam would say scam in the message. How likely? More like you're late with your payment.
There is some illegal activity from a
And it's saying that it's
phishing
phishing.
attack. We need you to click
A
on this
phishing
link,
message saying
re-input
there was
data.
a phishing message.
So that's our first
Whatever.
message. Let me make sure I did it.
Let's
correctly.
just ignore the.
Next, I'm going to do congrats. You've received a gift from a friend. It is a drawing.
It's a
This
drawing.
isn't an attack. Scam.
Because otherwise it wouldn't be
Please
caught by the
click
filter if it
on
didn't
this.
mention scam.
I'll even put link as a spam word or as a spam message because I can see that's happening. And then I'm going to do.
So I would like a realistic
do
example.
Click on this link.
Let's hop on. You know, it's he will be typing for a bit, right? So let's make sure I'm on this, and let's skip a bit.
Next one. And then we'll do something
Illegal attack on your bank account.
But
so how would this go more legal?
Even though they are technically spam words, they're also regular words as well. You could potentially get maybe some unidentified person has logged well. Same thing with lottery,
bad examples.
Or even gift as well, right? Because there are certain companies that will actually just parse through our. Then to split it, I'm going to do string array equals to str dot split.
We can even speed
what this
it
function
up
will do
now.
is it will split our string into an array, and it will use the space as
That's
essentially
just
the
normal
indicator
Python.
to a new entry. So I'll do congrats with the comma, space,
so
next entry be weed.
Will
space,
he
like,
just
space,
do
2, space,
normal? He will use all those odd stuff at the
zero.
start, right?
Finally, we're going to loop through our array, so it's going to be 4-word in string array. And then we're going to check to see if the word is in spam words. And if so, we're just going to simply increase our increment count by 1.
Yeah, and this is normal Python.
Message, we're simply going to return count. And that's it. That's our simple message parser. We can even go ahead and do things like, for example, removing commas or removing punctuation, but I'm going to leave that to you as an extended assignment for this. So once we have our message parser, let me actually run this. Make sure we have no errors. Perfect. We have no errors. So now let's go ahead and actually parse through our testing set and see what kind of count we get. So I'm going to create an array first. I'm going to call it spam count. And then I'm going to iterate through each of these two arrays, these spam messages and real messages. They'll be for string in, actually let's do str in spam messages. We're going to do spam count append, and then I want to append an array. Inside that array, we're just going to simply call the message parser function and then feed in our string. I'm going to copy and paste this exact same function or the exact same for loop, and instead replace spam messages with real messages. With our real messages set in that function set, let's go ahead and print out the resulting spam count, just so you get an idea of exactly what is going to be our testing set. And there we go. So you can see here is that our first 4 spam messages, our actual spam messages, have a spam count of 5, 4, 6, and 9. Meaning that this has 5 words, this has 4 words, this has 6 words, and this has 9 words. Same with our regular messages. While yes, they're not 0. We have one. This one has 1. This has 1. This one has 2, and this one also has 1. So it just goes to show that even though it's a regular message, it still has spam words. That doesn't mean it's still a spam message. We're still going to go by the count specifically. So now that we have our testing set, let's go ahead and train our model. So the way I'm going to go about it is I'm going to create an array called x. We're going to equal it to mp arrange, and it'll be 10. So we want 10 values.
If you counted that kind of words,
0 to
this guy speaks really fast.
And then we're going to make y equal to np dot array.
Okay. I have it in 2 times. Should I lower it? Should I lower the speed? It's just that he's not doing anything new. So now we're getting to stuff that I will lower speed for, right? Okay.
First.
If it's just doing basic Python, then I don't need it to be.
Module has no numpy arranged. I do right. Oh no, I spelled the range wrong. Oops. And I think that's it. There we go. So what we've done is that we produced an array similar to spam count in regards to its format, not the specific placement, but it's essentially going from 0 to 9. And what we're going to do is we're essentially going to let this
pitch equals high rate equals 1.1 greater than only trolling haha / prosody / speak d.
Yeah. So really, I try to keep the speeds down for stream, but I want to still get to where we want, right? Not just basic Python. I want to have
the number of spam words in our message. So how we're going to go about it is that we're going to tell them our regression model is like, okay, if our input is 0, then we're going to classify this as regular. If it has 1, 2, or 3 words, while yes, it's still spam, I want to classify it as a regular message. And then let's say if it's 4 or above, then we're going to classify that as spam.
You didn't say what reshift or range is.
We're going to create a y array, and it's essentially going to be it's going to have the same format, or not same format, but its values are going to correlate with its index of the X array. So that's kind of hard to understand. I'm going to just create a function we're going to call y equals np array, and then inside that array, I want 0, 0, 0. Oh,
So what do you
0,
think? Should
0,
we really do
1,
this?
1, 1, 1, 1.
There are
So
other
what
things
we're
we
doing
could
here
do
is that
too.
we're creating an array.
It's so stupid to do this. We could just look at the code first and run it, and not have to watch him typing it in, because he's not really explaining it, and we can just check it out. And that would be like wasting the course too, right? But we also have other courses just here. Like we have the ethic hacking for beginners. We have React.js. We have this other one. AI and host apps for React.js cursor, whatever. There's a lot of things. These were just two. We have the CompTIA cert courses for the contents for all of that. Let's hop to this. Like the list of, this is a humble one. So, except for AWS and stuff, we have these, and we have share courses, NVIDIA stuff. But if we were thinking cybersecurity, we could do like check through the cybersecurity, security plus. So we have cloud, we have cybersecurity analyst, pen test, security X, whatever that is. So it's not like I'm going to take a search or anything, but we could do AWS. I'm just starting to feel that I'm wasting time a bit watching someone typing code and not really explaining it. This, he said at the start that this is day number of this course, right? So we have the same kind of thing for this course. So let's go to this bundle, which this is a part of, and the Python ones here. And we skipped all of this and hopped to this one, right? So I'm sure they explain NumPy here a lot. Okay, so this one is like NumPy only. So that's why he's not explaining what those does, because it's already been, here's NumPy 2, pipeline. I can't imagine doing all of these in, if I had the speed at 3x, I could probably do it, maybe. But for stream, I don't want to do that. Though the first person, so I had up the first start one to see what they set up. They used the Google Kula because I didn't see, you know. I only saw him having this environment up. So I checked the first course, the start one, and this is how slow. Oh, this is not how slow she talks. Ah, okay. I didn't have time. I should have pressed R. This is how slow she speaks.
We're going to answer the question, what do I do if I get errors while I'm coding? Let's go ahead and look at an example
That's why
of
we
some
had
code that might give us an error. If we try to add dog with a number, we are going to get an error if we hit run. You'll see in just
so
a moment,
now we're
we will
getting
run
at
connect and
something
now
like
code. And
normal
this, we got a type
speed.
error instead of a result. Now, it may be intimidating and scary to say type error, but not to worry. All you have to do is search.
With almost normal talking speed when you're doing 3.1 times. So that's sorry about. At least this one is speedier than that.
And this first index is going to represent the output of this right here.
Yeah.
The second one will
Let's
correlate to this one.
try having
Third
it
one will correlate
two.
to 2. This fourth one will correlate to this one, and so on and so on.
Oh,
And
now we
spam
got
messages,
normal
this, for
talking
example, will be
speed.
the fifth entry here. That essentially means that if our spam words are over 4, then we're going to classify this as a spam message. And essentially, we're doing that for above. It'd be kind of weird if it was like, oh, for example, if we have 7, the spam count was 7, we could equal 0. Wouldn't really make sense in this use case. But it's essentially there for other use cases where maybe the input could be different. So this is essentially our training model that we set up. we have an array that represents the span count, similar to this, and then we have a y resulting array, which represents the classification of our input. Again, our x array is the input that we're feeding the model, and our y is the classification of that input. And the thing is, for our use case, we're only working with one input variable, but you can go for multiple as well. I'll explain that later near the end of the video, how you can move.
So, x and y again, but not with the same meaning, I'm assuming. Because y is not the output values here. So why mess stuff up like that? Let's just continue, I guess. I paused so much
Again,
and talked
our x array
over
is the
this,
input that we're feeding the
so.
model, and our y is the classification of that input. And the thing is, for our use case, we're only working with one input variable, but you can go for multiple as well. I'll explain that later near the end of the video, how you can move on, or not move on, but extend on this project as well. But just for a, I guess, foreshadowing, is that you can have multiple variables for this arrays here. It doesn't have to be just one entry.
Oh, so it's us at the end.
So now we have our training model. Let's go and create our logistics regression model. We're going to make a variable equal to model, and then call the logistics regression. Make sure you call it exact function. And then we have to essentially apply, or our parameters has to have a solver and a random state. So we're going to make the solver and make sure specific string, lib linear. So make sure you have this exact parameter. Also make sure the random state is equal to 0. It's essentially just setting the C number for our random values. So again,
So I'm going to pause it. No, I can't
now we have our
pause
solver
it.
and our random state. We have our actual
Space should be a pause, not the button I'm active on. So I want to see that. Logistic regression up, aka logic, max, and classifier. In the multi-class case, the training algorithm uses one DS rest OER scheme. If the multi-class option is set to OER, it uses the cross-entropy loss if the multi-class option is set to multi-nominal. As if I knew any of these words, right? So we have another function one that I don't know anything about, but I'm not gonna dig into this time. I'm going to just let it continue and see if it becomes clear what it does.
Our parameters has to have a solver and a random
Because
state.
nothing
So
else here is complicated. It's just that I don't know the function names.
Also make sure the random state is equal to 0. It's essentially just setting the C number for our random values. So again, classification can be based off random variables as well. So now we have our solver and our random state. We have our actual model set. But again, we don't have the model fit for our, training set. We simply just have a model that exists. So to essentially fit it, we're just going to call model.fit, and then we're going to feed it our training set. You know, actually, I think this will be easier. Let's call this train X, and we're going to call this train Y. So I'm going to do train X like that.
Why will that be better?
Y would be causing an error, so we train X and train Y. Perfect. So now that we fit our model with our training X data and our training Y data, keep in mind you can also do the same thing here. So you can go all in one line. It'd just be model.fit, train X, and train Y. But I'm going to make it a little bit easier to explain and have them separated. So now we fit our models. Let's actually go ahead and look at the statistics. I think the other one is so better. We're going to call the model, and we're going to do classes underscore. This will give us an idea of the classes that are assigned for our model. Meaning that we only have 2 classes, whether it's regular or spam, and that's based on a binary classification here. 0 represents the regular messages, and 1 represents the spam messages. Let's go ahead and predict the probability of our data, specifically our training data. So to do that, we're going to do model.predict underscore probability, so that's proba, and then we're going to fit it the train X data. This essentially is just representing the probability that a value can be on.
Why would someone not call the function probability instead of proba? Why? I mean, it's not bad to have long names. It's just nice to be able to read the
one side or the other side.
Normal
so what it's saying is that for our first input data where it's equal to 0, it has a probability specifically around 3/4 chance of it being a regular message and a 1/4 chance of it being a spam message. And you kind of see here it kind of gets higher and higher, especially with the higher values. For example, 9, we have a 0.97 or 97% chance of it being spam and a 2% chance of it being, or I guess 3% in this case, a 3% chance of it being regular. So let's go ahead and what we're going to do is I'm going to show even more things about our model. What we're going to do is we're going to predict model.predict, and then I'm going to feed it our training data. So when you do that, we're going to get a resulting array. And if you remember, this is kind of what our Y array looks like. Our training Y model, right here specifically, all you can put as a comment. So, oh, sorry, comments are like, leave that. There you go. So once I showed you the training Y model, you can kind of tell.
He has the same problem I have.
We have 3 zeros in our actual prediction, and I believe that's 6, not 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 7 ones.
So what language was I in?
We have 4 zeros and 6 ones. So you kind of see here that one of them actually got mislabeled. And that's because that's just how our model
I can turn off the...
In fact, you can see which one specifically. It is, so this is with 0 spam words, 1 spam word, 2 spam word, 3. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. You can see here our probability was on the other end. We were actually at a higher probability of it being a spam message, I believe 60%, 62%, and it's 37%. So now you can kind of see that the probability is a bit different, and that could be because of our training set. maybe we gotta make it more unique, or even better, add more variables to make it even more accurate, which I'll show later on in the end of the video. We can even go further than showing this, and we can do model.score, and then feed it the train x score and the train y score. Simply what that does is essentially what we did here is that it will use the x data, predict it, then compare this array with this actual training array that we're feeding here. And then it'll produce how many out of these values we get correct. So we got 90% of the values correct, and that makes sense because it's, I believe, 10 values, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, we have 10 values here, and one out of those 10 values was incorrect. So that's 9 out of 10, 90%. We can also show a confusion matrix. So if I type in confusion underscore matrix, y, and then we'll do model.predict x, or sorry, predict train x, and this will be train y. You can see here that one of them was mislabeled. And essentially, if you don't know what confusion matrix is that it is a matrix that represents values that got predicted correctly and values that got incorrectly predicted. So the first row here is values that are message as
so that's why they
used
used the y
so we know that,
to compare.
essentially, sorry, this side here is
get
going to
it
be
started
predicted.
too. I don't know.
And this side here is going to be actual. I'm pretty sure. Essentially, what it's saying is that we have 3 values that were predicted to be regular and they were correct. They align. But then one of them was actually predicted to be regular, but it was actually so one of them was actually predicted to be spam, but it was not. It was actually regular. And the same with here. And essentially what it's doing is that in the corners, so 3 and 6, means it's correctly labeled. But if the other corners, so for example the 0, and if this one here, if it was 0, that means it was 100% correction, or it was 100% predicted. But we got one wrong, and essentially that's shown in the confusion matrix. Next, let's go ahead and now use our testing model. So what I want to do is I want to create a test x value and a test y value, and we're just going to make that equal to.
So when I started looking at this course, I did not know that there were
messages here. So
it was at like
if I was correct, so the first 4
quite
values
late, you know. So let's hop that back. But it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 courses before it, right? And they assume this knowledge here. So maybe we should start with Python foundations and just watch through them all. But that's not what I wanted to do today, at least, right? So we got some bonus courses here. And after this, there was Excel. Excel to Python master class. Yeah, I will never use Excel again. I'm assuming they mean Excel, the program. If they mean something else, like actually to Excel, they wouldn't say Excel to Python. Or what? Excel in Python. This is also advanced JavaScript, maybe? But React, right? That's what's... I should learn that. I should learn all JavaScript stuff, but I realized it was like 20 years since I actually used JavaScript more than a little bit. Time just flies like crazy. It's amazing how long time is. It's just poof. So I will continue this video and I will see after
and
that.
The last 4 values are going to be zeros. So let's do 0, 0, or sorry, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 0, 0.
As I want
0,
to know
0.
exactly what it's doing, you know.
Now let's go ahead and we're going to do for I and model.predict spam test x. And then what's going to, actually no, let's do it this way. We're going to do print model.predict, and then I'm going to feed the test x value. Then what we're going to get is we're going to get an array of our predictions, which is essentially exactly what our test y looks like. Keep in mind, I didn't feed anything about test y. I just basically fed it our spam count, which you can see here. It's 5, 4, 6, 9. and it was able to produce the exact same predictions that our test y is equal to. So let's iterate over this. I'm going to print this as well. In fact, I'm going to print the divisor, so I'll just do a little line like that. And then we're going to loop it. So we're going to do for I in model.predict test x. We're going to do result prediction. Or is that right? I think that's fine. We don't need to do that. I think it's just basically if I equals 1, which means it's spam, so we're going to do print spam message. And then we'll do else and we'll just print regular message. Essentially just to give some UI to our model. Because again, all we're dealing with is numbers. Yet while these numbers indicate something, for the naked eye or for the people who aren't developers, they might have trouble understanding that. So there we go. Essentially what we're showing here is that the first 4 messages were spam messages and the last 4 messages were actually regular messages. And let's go ahead and we can show that we can show that score as well. So let's do it was model.score test x and then test y. So I'll produce that. Oh, I did text. Oops. So make sure we do that and then recall it. So there we go. We got a 1 score, so 100% correction. And then confusion underscore matrix is going to be scroll up above. Yep, we do test y and then model.predict test x.
Why
is
you do
Essentially, our confusion matrix here is showing that we got 4 that were correctly indicated as regular. So this would be predicted, this would be correct or actual. And then this would mean that we got 4 that were predicted to be spam, and were actually correct to be spam as well. But you can see this is much different than our confusion matrix up above. And that could be for a multitude of reasons, right? And that's really it for today. If I can go essentially over our an overview, what we did is that we imported our required modules, so our pyplot, our numpy, logistics regression, classification, report, confusion matrix. Then we were indicating some spam words, common words across spam messages. We hard-coded 4 spam messages and 4 real messages. Then inside we created a message parser function. And in that message parser function, we basically split up the messages in an array, and then just found out how many spam words exist in that string. Then finally, we used our message parser function to get the spam count of each of our hard-coded strings. With that, we have our testing set. We have our testing our testing data set, and then we finally got our training data set as well, creating an array that has a bunch of spam counts. And then we have our y, which is their classification. We fit that data into our logistics regression model. We went over the classes, the probabilities, and then we printed a training set. And we can see that there were still some inaccuracies, and that involves with our matrix here. You can see it with our score and matrix. Then we tested it with our testing set, and then with that, we were able to figure out that we got 100% score, meaning that all of our testing sets, or all of our data in our testing set was correctly predicted and accurate. We were to get 4 spam messages and 4 regular messages, and that's also indicated by both our score and our confusion matrix. If you want to take a step ahead with this project, I highly recommend trying other variables, or not other variables, but adding more variables on top of our training set. So for example, maybe do the character length, the message length. If you want to go about that, simply all you have to do is inside our training array, instead of making it an array that's like
this is not what I wanted to do
another array that'll be, for example, 250
when I started this one.
Another one could be maybe length of subject line. Maybe that's 6 characters, or even if it's an unidentified
but it might
false.
go somewhere.
These are all variables that you can simply just repeat for all these 10 values.
So for now, I'm just like
model take account for that and apply weights to each of these.
going on the level I have seen this once.
So go ahead and try to hands on this project.
I don't want to ever do this
that accounts as a factor
for this purpose. This was no purpose, right?
And I highly encourage that
at all.
And that's all it for today.
I don't see any purpose in this. So should we start this one, or should I do something else? So I might listen to this off stream instead, right? Just like, but there's so many other things I can do that, to be honest, I didn't think this was good, but also I hopped. To be honest, I did hop these courses without being aware, 7 of them, because this is what I wanted to check out. And yeah, that was not, it wasn't what I wanted exactly. And I might have like useful, I mean, I might have learned something, but I probably should know a bit more about NumPy and some other stuff. Pandas is also a word that makes me like, right, I saw it a little bit on that course. I didn't finish because it was very, yeah. So it hopped over there. Yeah, so I did made a group. I renamed this group here to Making Verb Extensions. So Oh, let's close this. Why did we have it open here? Did I move it to that screen? I guess I did. So here I opened up their last document. And that's where I got the source file. There. Oh, this is my camera. Why did it open up that? Here we just have a little. We did CTF stuff before. It wanted to know the date there when Wikipedia was registered. This can be running. That can be running. We might need it later. So let's see. We can also do hardware stuff. What do we want to do? I still want to do this that I wanted to do, but let's do it by not the course way, right? So let's say we actually want to train some model in and not that way, right? From something useful. I think it was later in the course, but I feel like I might need to go back to the other ones and learn more about NumPy and other stuff. First, then, So the thing is that I'm also tired. That's why I hopped to this, right? We could do this too. We did this one, 2 lost days. We have these that are free right now from Fantasy Labs. Folks, right part. Let's hop back to starter. Maybe we should do another course that's like mega basic one, maybe. Right, so just hop to the start of the one. So let's just read the names here. Introduction. Okay, variables, operators. Listables, radius, conditionals, ifs. Yeah, so I'm assuming I know everything here. Classes and options. So I'm making a Python course, right? I just don't like some stuff. And there's no links in the other one. So what I really need here is the list. Maybe we should go through these and check what's new. So, oh gosh, I imagine learning about variables in slow speed speech. Did I actually copy this? So I'm tired, so I probably didn't. It's not 2 a.m. yet. And there it is. Now let's submit in a new tab so we can hop back to this for the third time. So, what will we learn? How do computers make decisions? Work with numbers, repeat tasks, search for data, store data. How fast are algorithms? What is binary number system? What is Google Colab? We just used it again after last using it 2022. Once making a test file and saying this is so slow at the end of it and never going there again. What if I get errors? Terminate session. Enable cardi mode? That's some Google Colab thing then. Let's click that. So there's something I don't recognize, so let's look at the video. And we can continue scrolling here later. So I think this is actually now all the time instead of this. So the loud noise to
Hello
start.
everyone and welcome back to our Python coding course. In this lecture, we are going to learn how do I enable Corgi mode in Google Colab. This is a fun mode that enables corgis to run at the top of your screen, and we're going to look at some more settings as well in Google Colab. In order to enable fun
Oh god. Oh god. Seriously? Oh gosh. They want corgis to run over there. That's the corgi mode. Okay, we can skip that knowledge. What's a variable again? Data types, boolean. What are f strings? That's what I used before with the bird wings parentheses. Simple arithmetic operators, mod, floor division. So it'll be something simple. They just call that, I'm assuming. Oh, let's look what floor division is.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our Python coding course. In this lecture, we're going to answer the question, what is floor division? We've seen the division operator before, and now we're going to look at floor division, which is extremely related. Suppose we are dividing two numbers. Let's say we're dividing 5 by 2. What is 5 divided by 2? Let's hit run and we'll see the result here of this division. This is just the regular division operator, the forward slash, and our result is 2.5. What if we did 5 floor divided by 2? Floor division is where you use two forward slashes right after each other, one right after the other, and use it in the middle of two numbers. What do you think the result of this statement? Let's hit run and find out. Look, this time we got 2 being printed. Why did we get 2? Floor division is going to divide the two numbers, and then it's going to truncate the decimal places. That means floor division is going to completely remove the decimal places. There's no
God. Oh gosh. They call that floor division. So integer division. And they call it floor division because they don't know what integers are or what. No, we're gonna skip this. So check equality. We actually searched on string comparison today, but we're gonna search on that if we ever need more information. We use is not instead of equals is, which is like the normal. What is the mass order? Oh, it's some kind of normal operator order. Can I add strings? Yeah. So this is the second part of the course. This is the second course, and it's very very basic still. Don't make this mistake. Can I get an item from list? List ninja. Master ninja. Master ninja again. It's just list stuff. If statement. Can I make an if statement? Yeah, okay, so we have I want to delete this one. So that one is done. So let's check here. What is the third one called? Real world application. So basic programming stuff, some Python specific stuff. And let me search for this. And might be on the second page. There it is. Let's open a new tab. So, encrypting messages, decrypting messages. Bill and auction, text-based calculator, handler verified. Yeah, we can do this. Why not? Maybe I'll think of some fun things with this. Now let's just hope that it's speedier speech, right? And I'm starting with G, which is 2x. I used to have it at 2.5, but
Welcome to
yeah.
today's date of learning Python and 99 days with 99 projects. For today's date, we're going to be learning how to encrypt and decrypt messages through the use of Caesar cipher. So we're going to be creating a Python program that implements a basic Caesar cipher encryption and decryption. And with that program,
So the thing I was thinking was, as it was a picture of the girl, she speaks much slower than him, right? So I thought it was her.
users will be able to input a message and a key. Along with that, the program will encrypt the message and using that key, and on top of that, we'll be able to decrypt it back.
But if it's Caesar cipher,
So that's the first part. And the first
it's
part we're
not
working with is the encryption
anything
part of our
we
program. So what we'll
want.
be going over is the explanation of what Caesar cipher is, making our function encrypt our string, and then
Let's hop to like medium.
we need to account for if it's lowercase. So let's do if else if.
Encrypt
So that's
text
elf
key.
lift char is lower. That's essentially the same function as this except reverse. So we'll get a boolean true if it is a lowercase letter, and a boolean false if it is uppercase letter. And then let's just do else to account for other characters. So keep in mind, in our string, there's so many other characters that we can account for. They can be things like punctuation, or for lowercase a. Because keep in mind, you want to make sure you account for upright and lower limits.
Yeah. So
Lowercase c.
I've done
Whereas
these
this one,
things already. So
like that. There you go. Run that. Create a new code block. And inside this code block, we're going to set our
auction program. I'm assuming it's like basic. So if there's something someone watching stream don't understand, please tell me and I can
Today's
explain.
date, we're going to be learning how to build.
So I'm going to hop bits in. So this will be a
let's go
basic
ahead and I'm going to
program.
delete this code block and add a new one.
So I have never seen
And how we're
IPython
gonna go
explained,
about-
so I'm going to go back and we just run this video.
Right. Well, it's today's date of learning
And
Python
if I
99
find
days for 99
something
projects.
interesting, I will add it to the
Today's date, we're
notes.
going to be learning
Have
how
it
to
on
build
the
an
other
auction
screen.
program. So there we'll be developing a simple auction
But we
system
will
that
speed it
place
up,
bids on items,
of
and the highest
course.
bidder will win. The program should be able to keep track of our bids and declare the winning bid when the auction ends.
And I
So
know
overall, what we're
some
gonna be making is
people
a program that will
watching
be
are not
simulating an auction through a blind
native
perspective.
English
Essentially,
or
we'll be
not
making or allowing
that
users to
good
put
at
bids, but
English,
obviously
so
using
I'll
other
lower
people's bidding as
speed.
well. So finally, what we'll be doing, we'll be running a loop by doing that constantly. And then once we know that there are no more bids, we will declare the highest bidding by basically comparing the bids between prices, seeing which one's the highest. In here, I have an empty Google Colab with Python already installed and everything.
So this
First, what I want to do
is
is I want to import a required module.
some
This is mainly
stuff
more to
to
make our
do.
overall program look very clean.
Now,
Because when
let's
we're working with
listen
bids,
now.
we're going to be working with code or print statements that will be maybe 3 lines each. So say, for example, you have 10 bids. That means you have 30 lines of just a bunch of text. And most of those lines won't make a lot of point once you're at the end of the bid. So what we want to do is we want to import a module that allows us to clear that output continuously. That way our code looks more cleaner, as well as the execution. So to do that, do from ipython.display import clear underscore output. Now what this does is a clear output will essentially clear any of the output that we have from our code. So say, for example, I did, let me first run this. But let's say, for example, I did print hello there. Now, if I print hello there, you're going to see that this will appear. Now, what if I do print hi or hey?
So I'm going to have to Google this. I should have done that first. Command shell for interactive computing multiple program. Yes. IPython, interactive Python. So it's IPython, different from Python. I'm thinking it might be Jupyter Notebook specific. I still haven't seen it, right? So let's check it out. But maybe it's not anything that's interesting. But let's do PyPy. That's what we usually check out, like, right? So Provides a toolkit to help you get the most out of Python interactively. Powerful interactive Python shell. Let your kernel work with Python code and you can no fucks. Yeah. So specific. But it can be used otherwise too, but I kind of think that's the main thing, right? Otherwise we just have a normal terminal. I need something to eat. So, what's that? Okay. So it was like, why is this drawer open? Because there was something in between, so it couldn't close. So I got some chewing gum before. That's not really food, right? I've only eaten yogurt since I started streaming, and now it's like at least 10 hours. I can keep the mic. I'll be right back. Should I start the newsreader? Maybe I should actually have this on the video. Maybe I should have the video on and listen to it.
Now you can see those 2 lines here. Now what if I don't want to see hello there? Well, what we can simply do is just call the clear underscore output, like that, and then we'll only see hey. There we go.
Yeah. Let's run the news. Let's run the news. I won't be gone long, but I still want to hear all the news before the day's over. It's not over yet. Let's remove these. They opened up in my normal one, so did I close? Yeah. So let's just see and slash serve and run this, because last time I run it here. We might hear some news again, but maybe there's new stuff now. New news. I'll just get something to eat.
Here are the latest articles from your RSS feeds. Fetch 10 articles from Krebs on security. Title: Proxy Services Feast on Ukraine's IP Address Exodus. Published June 5, 2025. A recent study by Kentic has found that nearly 1/5 of Ukraine's internet space is now under Russian control or sold to internet address brokers since February 2022. Researchers have identified large chunks of Ukrainian internet address space being routed through shadowy proxy and anonymity services, often to America's largest internet service providers, ISPs, such as Amazon, AT&T, and Cogent. These proxy services allow customers to anonymously route their internet traffic through someone else's computer, making it difficult to trace malicious activity. The study found that several Ukrainian ISPs have resorted to selling their valuable IPv4 address space just to keep the lights on, with Ukretelecom selling 71% of its original IP space. The sold address blocks are now scattered across over a dozen different locations, often at AT&T and other American ISPs. The proxy services can be used for legitimate purposes such as business intelligence and web crawling, but they are also widely abused for hiding cybercrime activity. The study highlights the value of IPv4 addresses and how they are being exploited by proxy and VPN providers to mask malicious traffic. AT&T has recently changed its policy regarding originating routes for network blocks that are not owned and managed by AT&T, which is expected to force many proxy services to migrate to other U.S. providers with less stringent policies. However, several large U.S. ISPs, including Cogent, remain vulnerable to being used by proxy services due to their relaxed policies. The co-mingling of Ukrainian IP address space with proxy providers has resulted in the misuse of these addresses for cyber attacks against Ukraine and other enemies of Russia. The European Union has sanctioned Stark Industries Solutions Incorporated, an ISP that surfaced before the Russian invasion and was connected to large-scale DOS attacks and spear phishing attempts by Russian state-sponsored hacking groups.
But it's always a little different because of the AI summarization, right?
Fetched 50 articles from the Hacker News. Title: New Atomic Mac OS Stealer Campaign Exploits Click Fix to Target Apple Users. Published June 6, 2025.
So we want to make one of these. programs. That's what I want to make, right? Most likely gonna do it, but I want to do basic stuff, right? So, I don't want the sandwiches.
A new malware campaign has been discovered, using the Click6 social engineering tactic to trick Apple Mac OS users into downloading an information stealer malware called Atomic Mac OS Stealer, AMOS. The attack begins with a web page impersonating a US-based telecom provider Spectrum, asking users to complete a CAPTCHA verification check. However, when the user clicks I am human, they are presented with an error message and instructed to run a PowerShell command on Windows or launch the terminal app on Mac OS. The malicious script prompts users to enter their system password, downloads a next stage payload, and executes it. The source code of the malware contains Russian language comments, suggesting that the attackers may be Russian-speaking cybercriminals. Poorly implemented logic in the delivery sites, such as mismatched instructions across platforms, leads to hastily assembled infrastructure. The Click6 tactic has been used in various malware campaigns over the past year, and security researchers have warned about its effectiveness in bypassing security controls. Attackers exploit human error to trick users into performing seemingly harmless actions, gaining initial access to systems where they can access and exfiltrate sensitive data. Modern internet users are conditioned to click through routine security checks quickly, making them susceptible to these types of attacks. The discovery highlights the importance of security awareness and caution when interacting with online prompts and CAPTCHAs. Users should be wary of suspicious emails and web pages that ask for login credentials or system information, even if they appear legitimate. Title: Empower users and protect against Gen AI data loss. Published, June 6, 2025.
6, 7, 8, 9-ish. So achievements.
The rise of generative AI tools has led to widespread adoption in the enterprise, with employees using public AI apps to boost productivity and streamline communication. However, this trend has also introduced a new wave, shadow AI, where employees use workarounds to bypass enterprise monitoring and protections, exposing sensitive data to potential security threats. Despite blocking access to unapproved AI apps, organizations are not effectively protected, as employees continue to use alternative methods to engage with AI systems. This highlights the need for visibility into AI usage and a more nuanced approach to governance. Scalar's research has identified over 800 different AI applications in use, and the company is evolving its policy-driven governance model to address this challenge. To balance enablement with protection, organizations must prioritize real-time visibility into AI usage and develop context-aware policies that reflect the varying levels of risk associated with different AI applications. Scalar's approach involves providing access to sanctioned AI apps while preventing sensitive data from being sent to them. The company has also seen over 4 million data loss prevention violations in its cloud, underscoring the need for robust security measures. Ultimately, the goal is not to stop AI adoption but to shape it responsibly, empowering users and protecting data. Organizations must adopt a mindset that balances productivity with security, using the right tools and techniques to achieve both goals. Title: Microsoft helps CBI dismantle Indian call centers behind Japanese tech support scam. Published, June 6, 2025.
So, roast beef zucchini and cheese zucchini. And less cheese. also eat a bit of roast beef. So, this is my...
The Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, in India has arrested 6 individuals and dismantled 2 illegal call centers involved in a sophisticated transnational tech support scam targeting Japanese citizens.
Anyway,
the scammers posed as technical support personnel from multinational corporations, including Microsoft, to deceive victims into transferring funds into mule accounts. Authorities collaborated with the National Police Agency of Japan and Microsoft to track down the perpetrators, seizing valuable evidence such as computers and phones. The operation, called Operation Chakravarti, aimed to combat cyber-enabled financial crimes and leveraged advanced social engineering techniques and technical subterfuge to deceive victims. The scammers used generative AI to scale their operations, including identifying potential victims, automating the creation of malicious pop-up windows, and performing language translations. Microsoft's Stephen Masada emphasized the importance of global collaboration in combating cybercrime, citing a successful partnership with the Japan Cybercrime Control Center that led to taking down approximately 66,000 malicious domains and URLs globally since May 2024. The cross-sector collaboration highlighted the increasingly sophisticated tactics employed by cybercriminals and underlined the need for proactive global cooperation to protect victims. The arrest comes shortly after a reported data breach at Coinbase linked to an India-based customer support representative, TaskUs, who allegedly stole customer data from the cryptocurrency exchange. Additionally, an international operation in March-May 2025 resulted in the arrest of 20 suspects across 12 countries on charges related to creating and distributing child sexual abuse material, CSAM.
So, let's see if you can hear me eating. Continue soon. What do they call the constant? Give up after Arnold. I should have typed something bad so I can find it again. Alright. Yeah, I think it was there. Here. Also, it should be red here. Yeah. It's just too dark now. It's black outside. So let's think here. If we have this as 3, and this is a third, we have to add a new feature in here. So print info and check if old or red. So what do we have in here? What do we return? True, false. We can't just return true or false. We need something more. So where are we running this one? Those stuff. Very big error here, right? Visible. So why? Yeah, this is kind of why I'm doing this, right? So this could have been here, but I'm going to add stuff and I knew it. But I kind of think that we'll continue with other stuff now. So can I see the error here, right? So let's put the to do here instead. Need to change the functionality of the menu. Since this needs to exit to, well, so let's say continue to levels, right? So here I want to skip to the next feed, not just the next entry in the feed. But I noticed that several of them are old and get skipped. So did we get to anywhere like that in this? No. Yeah, here. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 was old. And it doesn't get a new one until this one gets the next source, the next RSS feed. So when it sees 3 in a row, which is my set variable value, it could be 1, right? Then we want it to continue straight to the next feed. So that needs to be added. But now let's go back to what we were doing, checking the videos, right? So it's kind of good. I can listen to
Now, that might seem kind of
this
pointless in
basic
regards to
stuff
this
while
example, because
I
you just say, well, why don't we
eat.
delete this and just print that out? Well, you're going to see exactly why this would be really important for our execution to make it work smoothly. So let's go ahead and delete this code block and add a new one. And how we're going to go about approaching this is to make a dictionary of bids. Now, this dictionary of bids is going to hold objects, and each object is going to hold a name and a price. Now, to make a dictionary, just make it equals to curly brackets, and this will dictate Python to make it a dictionary. Finally, we also want to make a Boolean statement, and to do that, just do bidding underscore complete equals to false. Now, how it's going to go about it is we're going to make a while loop that's going to be running infinite amount of times, and it's going to continuously ask for the name and the price of the bid. Then what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if there are any bidders left in there. So we'll ask the user, are there any other bids left? If there are none, we're going to make bidding complete equal to true and end the loop. So also, otherwise, if it's false, mean that there are more bids, then we're going to keep on running the loop. But essentially, let's go ahead and make that loop. So first we want to do is we want to do while bidding underscore complete, like that, and then do print hello, just so we don't get rid of the error. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be false. So even if we run this, oh, sorry, I had to run that. Let me run that. We're not going to get anything, and that's because bidding complete is actually false. So the way while statements work, or while loops work, in case you forgot, essentially is if this condition here is true, then it'll continue on with its execution. If this is false, then this will stop. So essentially, what we're telling the while loop to do is, hey, loop over print hello until this is true, but it's already false to begin with, so nothing's going to happen. If this was true, and we were to run this, I'm not going to, but if we were to run this, this will continuously call a while loop. This will be an infinite loop that we continuously running. So I highly recommend you to not do that. Just keep it false, and we'll just keep it theoretical. So to do this, make sure you do while not bidding complete, and make sure you don't run this yet because this will cause an infinite loop as well. If you do run it in an infinite loop, you can simply just stop it, so that's okay. So don't worry about that. So let's start with the first part of our loop, or our logic loop. Well, we want to first get the name and the price of our current bidder. So let's make a variable equal to name and make it equal to input. And similarly for price, make that equal to input as well. Now inside input, we want to input, or we want to have a string that will basically represent our question. So let's go ahead and write, please input your name. So this will basically print this, and then there'll be a little empty line here that'll tell the user. Actually, we can run it now because I think it's just input. There you go. It'll just look like this, a text box that you can input as well. So let me run that. Clear output like that, so we don't have to see that. Let's do the same thing for our price. So we're gonna do please input your bid, like that. I'm also gonna make a new print statement. We'll just do new bid. That way, just so it makes it look a little bit more presentable. Now we have the name and the price, but we also have to account for one thing, and it's quite common in the industry today. It's user error. What if I was a user and I was using this program and I accidentally put a letter within price? And that could potentially ruin your whole system, right? A letter could cause an execution error within your code, or compilation error, or sorry, not a compilation, an execution error, sorry. And then that could ruin your whole program, causing you downtime for not only your auction program, but for the whole entire business. So that could become a big issue. So we have to account for things like that. So for this case, it's only going to be simple error checking. I know in industry today there's a huge wide array of error checking and basically making sure our programs don't fail. But we're only doing simple error checking because that's all we really need today. It's just a Python program in the end. So to do our error checking, we really only need to do it for price, because name can have a bunch of other stuff. Keep in mind it's online, so people could have letters, special characters in the names that they like. We can account for that. Maybe I'd recommend you to try that out for yourself. But if you don't, that's fine. We just really only want to check for price. So let's say, for example, price is letters. And if price was letters, that could ruin our whole system. So to check to make sure price only has numbers, which is what we want to work with, simply call price is digit. This function will return true if it is only if the string is only digits, and false otherwise. So to do this, what we want to do is run a while loop. In while loop, we want to do so if price is digit, meaning if it's true, that means, so if it's false, we want it to be inverse of that. So we want it to be true. So we're gonna do while not price dot is digit, like that. And then this would run if the price was, say for example, had an A or B or C in it. We're gonna print an error log, so do error. Please enter a number. And then we're just gonna do this one more time. Copy and paste this into here. Also, let me put a $sign here so it looks a little bit better. That way it makes it look more like a price. So now we have that. Let's go ahead and run this. We have new bids. We'll put a name. We'll put my name. And then please input your bid. So we'll do something like, let's try 56. So you can see that worked in through. But we have now a new bid, because again, it's an infinite loop, but don't worry about that. We'll do another one. We'll do stream in like that. Or no, we'll do John Doe. And then let's do ABC. You can see here we got an error. Please enter a number. Please input your bid. So we can see that we now have an issue. We have to enter a number, and if we do, we get a new bid. So there we go. We effectively error checked it and made sure that our input here actually has a price, or a number associated with the price. Sorry. So now that we have that, what I also want to do is, let me make this all caps actually, because that makes it a little bit pop out more. And let me do a new line actually. So to do a new line in string, do /n like this, and then Python will recognize this as a new line. So when that does happen, rather than having it all together, it'll actually make a new line and make it more spaced out. Please enter a number. And if you want, we can even give an error code. We'll do 100, error 100. So now that we did that, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and do input this price and name into our bids dictionary. So to do that, simply just do bids square brackets name equals to int price, like that. And that will tell the dictionary that, hey, for the entry that has this name, make the price equal to this. And keep in mind, you want to convert it to an integer because that will allow it to actually work as a number and not as a string. And again, that's why we also do error checking to make sure the string only has digits, because if this would have numbers, this code by itself would cause
I'm
execution
back.
error and crash our program.
Yeah, so
So
this
I'm
is
going to do clear output.
not
So
doing
again, now we
anything
square bracket this bid.
interesting. So now it's
And then
going
we're
to
going to
do
have
a
one
clear.
last, not a check, or one final prompt to ask it. We're going to do complete and make that equal to input. And then in here, we're going to ask the user if that is the end of all the bidders. Once that is all the end of the bidders, we will basically use a if-else statement, check if that is true. If it is, we'll make this variable equal to true, and that will end the for loop. Otherwise, keep it like it is and continue the loop. So for this, we'll do complete input. Great. Are there any other bidders? So to do this, I'm going to make it like this. Yes or no. And inside here, we're just going to do single letters. That way the user doesn't have to manually put out yes and no and things such as that. Like that. And make sure it's single quotes. If you do double quotes, then it kind of gets out of this like string formation. So you kind of want to make it single quotes. Even if you do like this, Python's going to read this as a variable. So make sure you do single quotes.
You could do like
that.
several
Then
values matching both instead. That's much prettier.
Let's check to make sure
Instead of
output looks
doing
good.
that,
So true.
so you can do both
$50.
Y,
Perfect. Great. Are there any other
yes.
bids? Yes or no? Perfect.
In other case.
Execution. So same case for this, or same with price. We also want to error check. Oh, also I have this outside the while loop. So make sure
like
it's 10 and make sure that's inside the while loop.
So.
But inside here, I want to do error checking to make sure our outputs are only Y.
So he's just using a clear output, right? I think
so
that's the only thing he'll be using. Yeah, but this is a good newbie example, right?
John Doe.
Let's see him run it
We'll do $43
with a clear output.
And then we'll do one final bit. We'll do Jane
Yeah,
Doe.
so there
Let's say she put a number or a letter in hers or a special character. So we'll do, let's say for example, she didn't read the dollar sign. So we'll do $sign 83. I guess like that. I don't know. Then we see that we have error code 100. Please enter a number. So then let's say we'll give her a bid of 100. And then finally, are there any other bidders? We'll just do no. Let's also error check this. So we'll do P. Wrong input. Are there any other bidders? We'll do no. And there we go. So we've gone through our logic loop for our bids. Let's go ahead and print the bids for the dictionary so we can actually see this actually being saved. There we go. So now we actually have a directory or a dictionary of all of our things saved. We have Shri Min, John Doe, Jane Doe, and then me. I think that's just because from testing, but that's okay. We'll just count this as two separate entries, get two separate strings or names. Again, this is just a simple option. If you were to do IDs, that would make it a little bit more complex. But again, I highly recommend you to look into that yourself and try it out. And there we go. That's all for today's lecture. Overall, what we did is that we went through, which essentially will ask for the name and the price.
So the thing I was interested in was the clearing output, which is nothing I would actually use. So programs that clear the output of the terminal, that is the worst. Why? Because I usually have stuff I want to save up there, stuff that has happened before, and I want to save it into my notes. And if I clear everything, it's all gone. Not a fun experience. So they're continuing on the program, I'm assuming. Let's check through it a bit.
Well, in today's day of learning Python 99 days with we had a dictionary of all these bids associated with it. So in this part, we're going to be going over how to find the score largest or square bid values within these objects. So we'll get Shri Min, we'll get John Doe. Just do an idea of how this. Simply just do return.
So an auction isn't usually that you just give a bid.
And I'm going to press enter to make it look more organized. comma, or else it'll be kind of cause errors in regards to how you return it. So let's go ahead. Winner of this bid is an integer. So what do you want to do? Have a we did as we went ahead with the clear
Oh well, let's
history
hear
of
what
our
he
bids
said.
and a bidding complete variable. We
Ah,
basically made a logic loop which allowed
text-based calculator. I'm mostly interested in if he's using any functions that I haven't done, and if he's not, I'm gonna hop to the next
going
one,
to
right?
today's video. Now I'm just gonna run. Now for multiplication,
He's using
we can do
clear
the same
output
thing.
because he
6
hasn't
times
got a
6
terminal, and is using
for
this
square root.
horrible.
Oh, not like that. It should not look like that.
So he's using
So if you
math,
use triple
but
quotes, I
that's still
believe
not.
we're getting these exact operations that we're working with. So let's go ahead and perform some error checking. To do this, I run it again. We have false, and that's because we're not accounting for the rest of the operation. And copy and paste this whole if statement like this. Because this, if this returns true, it's going to return true. If it returns false, it's going to return that regardless. So we simply just need to remove that, like here, and Python will recognize this. To do our error checking, check is true, it will occur, it'll clear the output, print the error.
Some error checking is
Streamline this. So let's go ahead and put exponents, or let's put this code block. We're going to merge it. Hi there. This while loop will only occur if this statement is true.
this did it, normal things.
So now that we have the operation and the two numbers, let's go ahead and calculate the result.
Oh, next one is
Dot
OP.
square root.
So they're making a
We can
class,
go
I'm
ahead
sure.
and we can do
I don't think there'll be anything new, but we
root.
can check.
Operation is good. Let's grab our number. Because we have nothing wrong with our code in this scenario.
I could just check the source files, right? But it's easier to hop through the videos. So handler verify orders program with OP.
OOP. With this project, when we learn, users will be able to
He's still chatting.
and or give us the price function for our class format. So we're going to do print. Say, for example,
class
apple.
product,
That would
print
be an
product.
object of the
You would call it
product,
print
which will have the
only.
name apple and a price associated with
That's not a good
Same
name.
thing with the banana.
It would be
While they
product.
do both share the same organization, that having a
print
name and
product.
price, they are different in regards to the actual. So let's go ahead and show the actual properties of this. Now we already have a function. Time to go over the exact public and adding onto it. Think of it as yes, it inherits the product base class. If we were to make this just a product,
So inheritance, I don't know if I've had that.
Electronic. Yeah, electronic. So electronics is going to have the same properties as the base product, as well as the same function as the base product, but we're going to add on to it. So, well, I'll explain how we're going to add on to it later, but essentially to inherit the base product here, just do brackets, and then in here, feed in product. That is essentially telling Python, hey, this is an inherited class.
So I'm quite sure I have it in my notes, but let's just confirm, right? So let's go to programming, Python, and I think I probably have this in my course. Python course. Class, my class. Yeah, here we have inheritance. and super that the constructor of the super class. So we have that in there already.
Properties. Only electronics has that, and that's essentially how inheritance works. Object, electronics product.
And then they'll do the super too.
Object. Such as so. We'll do. Only gonna have access to these stuff right here. But if we were to create an electronics product, then it'll have not only
electronic
this,
has games,
but it'll also have the platform, model, and the games function. So let's go ahead and run this, and we're going to show an example
no
of this.
games.
Let's create an object called YS6.
So it returns how many games electronic product has. If it's a phone, if it's a computer, if it's a toaster, how many games does it have? I mean, you can always try and click it and make toast fly high. And have a competition. That is a game, right?
So let's go ahead and make a final object. I'm gonna do self.
Sorry if I'm hopping, and if you think this is interesting, tell me and I'll pause, right?
Also access is based.
I'm kind of thinking there won't be anything here.
Using object-oriented programming. And in here it has the platform and model, which is only specific to electronics. Array of objects, and each object is going to have the product and the stock. The product is going to be equal to one of these. So this is essentially telling us
that was like, what happened to the audio?
Is the product of app negatives, because when we go in the negatives, that can cause issues. So what we're going to do here is we're going to call in the max function, and the max will essentially dictate what is the max between two items. 0 items, like so. Then this.
Yeah. So this is their order program.
3-68. Let's go ahead and do store. Jacket. So now let's go ahead and create a fake shopping cart. We're just going to make an array for now. You can make this more interactive if you want. And then let's say I want an apple -n for new line. And then finally, scroll down. We'll do say there is stock
2, and then they said that something was an apple.
It's $2,905. Creating our store
so
object.
Build a quiz.
Hi there. On today's date of learning Python in 99 days with 99 projects. We're going to be developing a multiple choice quiz on various topics.
So this seems shorter.
And we want them output to be small. So when we're going to be displaying
Google Colab
on the console, they'll be
this is a new thing.
Each other. So this
is also Google
will give us the function that allows us to clear that stack and essentially present the new question.
So let's listen to what it says.
On today's date of learning Python in 99 days with 99 projects. Hi there. Welcome to today's date of learning Python 99 days with 99 projects. For today's project, we're going to be learning how to build a quiz.
And if I already have it,
developing a multiple choice quiz game. Where users can select answers to the questions. The program should be able to keep track of the user's score and provide feedback on the correct and incorrect answers. And we're going to be creating our quiz on various topics. It's not going to be on a specific topic, just a general quiz. You can change those questions based on how you'd like. If you want a topic about, let's say, fruit or video games, things such as that. But we're just going to do a general quiz. So let's go ahead and get started. We have our empty Google Colab with Python already in there, and the compiler is already set up. I can just run that, let it connect, and it should be all set up. But in here, what I want to do is I want to import one module. So that's going to be from google.colab import output. And the main purpose behind this is just because we want to, when we're doing our quiz, we don't want to have a big output because, again, we're going to have multiple questions, and we want them output to be small. So when we're going to be displaying questions, especially on the console, they'll be stacking on top of each other. So this output will give us a function that allows us to clear that stack and essentially present the new question, making it not a very long output and making it more organized and presentable. So I'm going to make a new code block, and I'm just going to go over how our test is going to be structured. So let's just make a test question right here. And our question is going to be an object. So we're going to do curly brackets, And
What?
in here
It
it's going
didn't
to hold
speed
three
me up.
properties.
No. It was
Question.
another screen. I wrote this.
Sorry. Answers. And correct.
So why?
So in here, the question will hold a string, and that string will basically be the actual question that we're going to ask the user. So for example, in orange, do on the index 2 and 3. So I'm just going to go like this, questions. Oh, sorry. So our base object is going to be questions like this. Make that equal to an empty string for now. We're going to have answers
This feels
like this.
so outdated when you have AI
So
generating
now we have
quizzes.
Vienna. You construct that. Essentially, all I'm just saying is that to keep the question mark.
By the way, I should make them for my kid.
On the moon.
That kid.
Spirit.
So it's just entering questions all along now.
And then we'll put 2 because that is Alaska.
Is that the last one?
Slash n if you port slash n, that basically represents the new line. So we'll make a whole space in between.
Welcome to Mammoth Fun Trivia.
Will reveal
it's all geography.
Have to use submit notice. And then right here,
not only
here, there are 8 questions total. Try to get all of the correct answers. We just did like this. First of all, we'll get errors.
Horoscope.
Like it'd be
seriously.
Like that.
That's not knowledge. That's.
And it's because we have like that. So we have one. There we go. And we run that. You see here, everything shows up in one line, and we don't want that. We want to actually be separated because we want to make it look a bit more simple. So let's do triple quotes at the start and at the end. And let's go ahead and format that one more time. It's like here, and then scroll down. I think it is right here, and then right here. So now we have this in a more organized way, and we don't have to use scrolling to figure out what the text is. And I think that's it for the first video. Or what we did for the first video is we went over importing our Google Colab's output function. We went over the formatting of our question.
So where is he using the output function?
The question will hold a string, which we present to the user, which is just the question. The answers will hold an array of 4 entities. Each of those is going to be 4 strings. Is the correct answer for the organization we went ahead. In the next video, we're going to be going over the actual logic loop.
It's just using print. It's not using output.
That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good day.
So we hopped through this video to check out this output thing, right? We indeed didn't use it.
We'll be developing a multiple choice quiz game where users can select answers to questions, and the program will be able to keep track of the broad general idea of each show you watch, things such as that.
So he's always repeating the old stuff first.
The logic of our quiz. So going over the presentation. And now what we're going to do is we're going to loop over our questions array, and then we're going to essentially print the question.
I just want to see if
and then
he
used the quiz
it.
will show the final output, or it's the final score, and the percentage of what they got right or wrong. So let's go ahead and print the question, print the which essentially means that for each question, did I do that right?
Is he not going to use output when he imported
it? Essentially put in variables within our string. So if we were to do 0, with the correct answer is 0, and make it, or you can make it 1. When we do the input function, whatever gets returned is actually a string, not an integer. So that can cause issues with regard to our logic. So what we're going to do here is we're going to check to see if this is a digit. Now, here, actually working comparing integers and not strings. But I'm going to put this inside a bracket because it's going to be its own conditional operator.
Still only see prints, no output.
So that's only one number between 0 and 3. What if we do 6? This choice is equal to string. Right answer is plus.
So I'm thinking maybe someone learns this way.
Let's rerun this because that.
And I could go through
the whole square bracket into this right here. So now I'll run that, stop that, and then we.
Oh, I found it.
Apple, we know apples are fruit, so press
well, output.flare.
Like the wrong answer. Quick answer is 1. And if you want, we can even change this. So instead of it like this, we can do question correct, and we'll do question like so. Put a square bracket answer. Is it answer square? Let's answer square.
So we found
it. And then feed the whole square bracket into this right here. So now I'll run that, stop that, and then we know island isn't this is the right answer, so we'll just do India. You see here, correct answer island, like so. So let's create output. And now we have the actual thing working, or our logic loop for a quiz. Let's just go ahead and display the final output, which is going to be the whole score. So we'll do thank you for trying of the trivia. And then we'll do, make sure there's F at the start, we'll do final score, curly brackets, we'll feed in the score, out of 8. And then inside here we'll put brackets here, because what I'm going to do is we're going to make it 100%, so we're going to do a decimal. We already know probably rhubarb is not a fruit, so. And then let's go ahead, I will say that's tequila, so I got that wrong, it's gin. I know it's arachnophobia, so we'll put 0, that's correct. Which horoscope sign is a fish? I'm not really great with this stuff, so we'll go with Aquarius. Oh no, sorry, I meant Pisces. Okay, well that's correct, I guess. Which largest US state? We'll do North Carolina, so I was wrong. And then I think that was it, right? That was the last question. So then let's go ahead and print our final score. Thank you for trying out the quiz. Final score 6 out of 8, over 75%. Got a lower score than expected. Try again by rerunning the code block above. And there you go. That is our quiz. So overall what we did is we first of all included our output function from Google Colab that allows us to wipe the output. We went over the question format, which essentially is going to be an array of 8 objects, and each object has a...
I'm not disappointed. It's not boring, you know. Get their little code at the same time.
Hi there. On today's date of learning Python,
Reading the
99 days
text
with 99
file
projects. For today's date, we're going to be learning how to fill
equations.
data with a text file and essentially build a file automation project. So with this, we're going to be building an automation project that reads data from a text. We're going to print out equations per file, make that equal to the open function. And this is essentially a function within Python that allows us to open files. And what we're going to do is we're going to feed it our txt file, equation.txt. Now, when it comes to opening any sort of equation
So
TXT.
for new people,
text processing software you have. For Windows, I have Notebook, or
we're going through.
on Mac, there's a software called TextEdit.
When I
You can go on
started
Google Docs
the
or Word docs
course,
and
I
then export
didn't
SVG.txt
know there
file.
was 7
But we're going to use
courses
Notepad and
before,
start writing
right?
equations.
So I'm just going through to
My notepad
check.
is just
I
on
know
my
there will
equation.txt
be
viewer.
more
Let's go ahead
advanced
and start.
topics soon in
So I have
these.
my notepad
So this is
lined
the
up in
third
text editor.
course
So let's
we're
go ahead and start writing our
skipping
equations. So
through
let's start with our first
a
one.
little
We're going
bit.
to do 14 plus 3. Oh, sorry, plus 3. And you want to make sure you include the spaces in this case, because this is the idea of filtering our text input. You can do this 14 plus 3 like that, but I think for complexity's sake, we're going to make it like this.
So we
Make sure there's no
have,
space at the end, or there's no, so we'll do space. Make there's no space like you see here. I don't want that.
yeah, so
Other characters, it's TXT file is saved locally as well, and not just on Google Colab. So when you do edit, don't delete it locally on your computer. Make sure it's still there. Once you do that,
I don't
press
know
OK.
what it's
You press
doing
next
there, but maybe it's something I should
system will show up where you
make
click on
note
the
of.
equation.txt file and add it to there. You can also drag and drop that txt file into this, so if you want, go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the
Oh, it's using a file.
And we're going to do 4x in F, so 4x in file. That essentially will read it line
You can
by line.
figure that out
So
if
let's
you
say
ever
X%,
would want
for
to
that.
use
Oh,
this.
we did not
I'm
do that.
sorry, but I'm a
That's okay. That's okay.
real Python files kind of girl.
What we want to do is we want to do if x minus 1, which basically means the last character, equals 2, new line, because you should. What I want you to do is I want you with each character taken out.
Just scanning for something I don't
each of
know.
these equations, essentially looking through each character and checking if it's a number. We know each equation starts with a number, so as the if it's an operation, we're going to do operation equals to char, like so. Add the character to the first number. Let me make sure. That's all for today's video. Overall, we did for today's video, we worked on our equation.txt file to input equations that we're going to be working with. We opened that file and did some filtering to remove the new line and then add it to our array. And then finally, we went to our
equation is
each of
just
equations
math.
strings, and then went through the logic of grabbing the operation. The first number and the second number as well. In the second video, we're going to be going over now combining these values together.
Build CSV file from what is census. So maybe there's something I don't know in this. We just made a CSV to what's the format called? Oh gosh, my eyes. I'm sorry, it hurts my eye for some reason. Did I have some of the food like pepper on my finger here now? So we just made under CDF here the script today, CSV to KML. So this is today's before when we were doing CDFs. So for location services 1 and 2, they had CSV files with location data, and thanks to this, converting it to KML and then imported it into Google Earth. You can see all the dots on the map and see where they were like clumped, and we could find out where this person lived and where he was going to school. No, where he worked and going to school. Yeah. So it's just basic googling the format and how it looks and putting in the data from the CSV file. So very basic. Just thought of it when I heard CSV.
Hi there. We went today's video of learning Python in 99 days with 99 projects. For today's date, we're going to be learning in atypical census data.
I wonder if every one of these is one day in this 99 days.
Generate a bunch of people with fake ages. Random in this case is going to.
So we're going to start with stuff that is actually new to me. So that's what I thought when I saw the census here. I don't know what this is.
For today's date, we're going to be learning how to build a CSV file from a census. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to create a program that generates a mock CSV file using mock census data. What we're going to do is we're going to simulate demographic data, organize it into columns within a CSV file, and perform further analysis on top of that. So what we're going to go about with today is that we're going to try to make a mock census data, which essentially follows a bunch of features. So the 5 features that we're going to be working with today is age, gender, ethnicity, country of origin, or we're going to say location in this case, and income. Because these are sort of 5 features that I would see in the idea of a mock census data. Now, we're going to obviously leave first name and last name out of this because we want to keep this.
So let's Google census before you get crazy here. He keeps saying it all the time. It's like it's something I should know. Usually complete count of a population as a state. So that's what census is. A field count or survey, especially of the population. Okay, now we know census is. It's not Python thing, it's just
Anonymous, as you would expect in a
we
typical
saw
census data.
stuff in there.
But essentially, what we're going to go about is we're going to go ahead and generate a bunch of people with fake ages or random ages, random genders, random ethnicities, random locations, and random income. So let's go ahead and start. So when it comes to starting, we need to import 2 required modules. This involves importing pandas. So import pandas as PD.
So I'm going to use my own notes, the web version, because it's better searching there. So fixify2.com/notes, and I'm going to search for pandas here. And yeah, pandas is required here, but that's not, I don't use it, right? Oh, so it has read CSV. Oh, by the way, what's this? Ah, these are suggested projects when I ask for project ideas. That's what it is. So this is just a box, right? So somewhere in here, these letters exist. And so just one hit and that's there. And in this one, so why? So I said this search was better, right? Let's search in the actual notes. So here we can see exactly at once. So it's just one of the users, or rather one of the someone in the notes is one of the files there. And here's the one we had. with 3 entries. So these are the only ones. And this is newer notes. Yeah, I think we don't have anything really open now anymore. So I just wanted to confirm I don't have any pandas notes, right? And I'm thinking I've used it like a few times. Maybe we should have a libraries. Right? So if we grab the pandas one from down there and we put it in libraries. There. So we can add other stuff here. So I have so many things already, you know. Phone tools is a library. Everything's a library. And now I added this one. Oh, right, you can see all this is Python files. And they won't look pretty here because this is just a plugin that can show text files. But it still can indent, so it's not totally unaware of what's on the lines. It would be nice to have one with color coding, especially of Python. Let's do a quick search if we can find a plugin for Obsidian that does that. Otherwise, I kind of want to develop something, starting with something simple, and that might be, you know, maybe not the simplest thing, but some keywords colored, strings colored. You could probably do that quite easily. So, community plugins, browse, and let's do Python. And I'm sure I'll look several times. I don't want anything else but syntax highlight. Code likes to be executed interactively, like Jupyter notebooks. Rust, Kotlin, Python, JavaScript. Yeah, I don't want to execute anything in my notes ever. An interface to experiment with Python scripts and more. Sidebar action icons quickly open the GNOME terminal. Why? It will let you run local shell commands or script directly within your notes. I just want syntax highlighting. So the thing is that it's already in there, right? So if I were to create a Python file here, let's do the pandas one we had up. So I just do a block here, and I say this is Python. And then we type like f1 plus 2 is less than 54. Print hello. So it has the syntax highlighting, but not when it's a file, text file. So if we could just make it use what it already really actually has. So let's delete my stupid example. We'll wonder if 1 plus 2 is. Yeah, so that search didn't work very well. And I still think that this is what I'm doing. Let's move this out of the way, or I will still keep looking at the wrong one. So here. No, we don't have that money left now. So let's make a Mammoth one, really, right? And confuse myself more. Add to new group, Mammoth, right? So this is Mammoth. This is Mammoth. Oh, I'm just learning this. This is also Mammoth. This is not Mammoth, and it is finished. And that's what we had up. So we have one of the course's indexes and the other course index. Both those. And then we have this. This is what we're doing in preparation to being able to understand all of this. So we need to know already how NumPy works and other things to continue on this video. Or we won't really learn anything here. Maybe even go back to this one. And we have, if we go back to this one, which I guess should be here, we have gone through this, and we're currently going through this one a bit quickly and just checking for new things. And this is the actual first thing that was actually using pandas. And I just want to confirm here. No, I'm sure there'll be stuff I don't know. We'll see after if I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that now. Probably, but still.
And import random. So what exactly pandas is that it is a revamped way of organizing, reading, and manipulating data and data
So we
sets
saw
in
the
the best suits
CSV
of
reading
Python.
there in my
We
notes,
can
right?
use data frames, which is their own container that allows us to put data into that and be able to perform certain functions on it. Things like reading certain columns, exporting into CSVs, which we're going to be
Let's do
using.
pandas PyPy. So, data analysis toolkit is what it does. And that's why you can read the CSVs, because it can then analyze the data. Powerful data analysis. Is this supposed to be the letters?
Pandas is a Python package that provides fast, flexible, and expressive data structures designed to make working with relational or labeled data both easy and intuitive. It aims to be the fundamental high-level building block for doing practical, real-world data analysis in Python. Additionally, it has the broader goal of becoming the most powerful and flexible open-source data analysis/manipulation tool available in any language. It is already well on its way towards this goal.
Well, that's not basic information about it. Oh. So what I did was to shift enter. Data analysis. This we don't care about. What its goals are, right? So I obviously missed something that looked odd. So I closed the page. I'll just have it open again. Let's just add provides. No, this is not useful. Bad. Bad, bad. Let's do this instead. Good enough. We make stuff. We do. Usually we do. Not opposite. So.
And even manipulating data with.
I don't care about the import random.
So
I know that.
That's what we're going to be working with.
But maybe we should have
pandas,
notes on it.
And it's going to be especially helpful as you see later on in this video. Random in this case is going to allow us to have that random factor into our project. Because again, we don't want people who are all the age of 18. We don't want people who are all male. We don't want people who are Caucasian. We want some randomness in that, right?
So it's getting bright outside. Light
between the age of
coming
18
up.
and 80, or somewhere who are male and some who are female.
It's 3 a.m.
Now, to account for that, we need to import this module that allows us to have a bit of random factor for our project. You might be also wondering why we have the as keyword here. Well, the as keyword essentially works as an alias. So in Python, rather than having to write pandas, create data frame, like so, this can get quite tedious, especially for long module names. Writing pandas continuously can get really annoying, so Python actually created an alias. So rather than having to write pandas, we simply start PD, and Python will recognize this as an alias, go all the way up to in that, right?
Oh, it was doing the alias thing again.
Pandas create data frame, like so.
It was just
this
doing an example.
Tedious, especially for long module names. Writing pandas continuously can get really annoying, so Python actually created an alias. So rather than having to write pandas, we simply start PD, and Python will recognize this as an alias.
Because pandas is so long, so you have to make it two
pandas,
letters.
And essentially, it's the same thing as calling the same thing we did up above, like this. So these two function calls are the exact same. It's just one is shorter, so that makes it more accomplishing, not only as a developer, but as for the reader.
So I was curious about the function.
So now that we have everything set up, click on the start, and we're going to be connecting to our Python compiler. So it might take a little bit of time, but we should get a check mark here on the side, like we do now, and that just essentially means we have imported our required modules. There we go. So now let's go ahead and we want to create a function. Now this function is going to be important to getting our random age. So let's call this def return age, like so. And this is how you go about run this, so that we want to get random age, and then below the age of 80. We have 41.
So I'm waiting for the panda stuff here.
Now, we're going to have make go. And now we're getting a Caucasian, Asian, Caucasian. Flag equals to random. The flag is 3, so go like this. And
okay.
Mexico. And we're gonna have the range of 3,500.
Come on, get me to the panda
we
stuff.
have now created our functions that will introduce the let's say we want 1,000 people. So our census data is gonna the random age, comma, return gender. Make sure you put the brackets, comma.
Let's. We've gone almost through the whole thing by just
and have a decent amount of data to work with. You could do maybe 50,000. You can maybe do 100,000. That might make your code run a bit longer than usual. So that's why I'm only doing 1,000. It's kind of the number I see. It's enough for like making it run fast, but also having enough data to work with. And there you go, make that run. So now our data is filled with 1,000 random people with random features. And if you want to get an idea of that, simply just do data, square bracket, 0, 5. And this will introduce the first 5 people in our data array. And there we go. We have the first 5 people, like for our first person, they are 74 years old, they're male, African American, from Canada, and have an income of $44,000.
We'd have to print
our 5th person in our array is 22 years old. Mock data, we can go ahead and work on our sense.
I think this is an American thing, putting like this here.
So like that's really all for today's video. Which gender they are and which location.
Like that matters.
We
Why would they even care? And is there such a thing?
Append that to an overall array, and now we have an array.
I mean, it's not like everybody live in their own island and nobody meets ever.
Tyler,
That's
welcome
just
to today's
odd.
video of learning Python in 99 days, demographic data over and random results that were location
So we still
and
haven't done
random
anything with
person
the
here
thing interesting,
is
the
Caucasian
pandas.
and from Japan.
So what will...
Make sure it's equal to an array, and then we're going to organize it like we did underscore CSV function. So if we call df,
So did we do
if
something
you want
more now? No, we just printed that.
like so.
Now we have PD. Yeah,
Next,
it's there now.
data frame is to use CSV file and from Japan, and she
So,
has a income of $111,965. So in today's video, we're going to work on getting this data into a CSV file and then perform further analysis onto it. So let's go ahead and do just that. So what we're going to do to now convert this data into an actual data frame is to use pandas. So if we do df, make that equal to pd.dataframe. Now what we'll do is that data frame will allow us to create a data object or a container of all of our data together. For the first parameter, feed in our data array, and then this is what can be required. Next, we want to make a parameter, call it columns, like so. And then this will actually organize our columns as how we want it. So make sure it's equal to an array, and then we're going to organize it like we did up here. So the first one was age,
yeah.
next one was gender, next one.
Oh, that's
Good.
not what I
Just want to make
wanted,
sure,
but...
because that could cause errors. We want to return 0. So much all we did above, we're just accounting for all the possible.
Where were I?
Finally, income distribution, make it equal to an empty array. df dot iter rows like
No,
this.
this is
And
new
this is
stuff.
another great function that comes with data frames. It allows us.
Where did they start?
But bear with me, you'll
Data
understand what I mean once we go a little bit further down.
It's not that far.
Over function CST, like 3 possible groups. So, we're going to do only 2 zeros. We have 5 possible groups. So now how we're going to go about this is we're going to iterate through each of these indexes. And this is an index is essentially that number beside it. So if I scroll up, the index represents this number right here, the 0, 1, 2, 3.
No, you already have that.
Like so.
Ah, this is
And now that
so
we have our columns
annoying.
and data,
I just wanted to pause it, and I happened to click on this when I was pausing it. So if I could just use space to pause, and it not doing minimize, maximize, or whatever I clicked last. So I'm just typing. So I guess I would say list. Whatever. Array of data. About people. Columns equals. I'm not gonna bring all of them. I'm just gonna do age. Well, let's use the same they did, right? Comma. I'm almost. What? It didn't add one extra. I can actually type myself. Location. Age, location. What could be possibly more want to know? Like interests. But that would be more than one, so let's not complicate it. That's good enough. As example. This will become more complex. And the more I differ from their example, it will be different. So let's actually download their example. Source files. But this is not machine learning, so I guess we do here. And we open that. And we make it 10 because I don't want to see this. Source files there. I'm just slowly scrolling up. Come on, stupid Windows. Damn. Why scroll in that speed? Why? Who would possibly want that? So I think this is about the worst name I've ever seen. From census. Now we Google census and we know it's like data about people, right? But it should say what it's using instead. Oh gosh. Let's open that. And we don't have pandas even. Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna run it anyway. So what I wanted to do was actually to keep this file in here, wasn't it? Yeah, my shoulder is in pain. And it's the one I have not been in pain on before. And we was dreaming about 12 hours. So maybe I should like stop sitting by the computer. I think I might just listen to my body and continue tomorrow, but it won't be tomorrow. We have... Oh, it doesn't say I'm streaming because I stopped streaming and started again. So that's why more people on YouTube than on Twitch. It doesn't say I'm streaming. Maybe. So we have 3 Epic streamers, and I'm gonna use my own to check this list. Because there's other people too, and I can hear how horrible one makes sounds. Oh gosh, that's bad. And I can hear how horrible one makes sounds. Oh gosh, that's bad. Sorry about the mic. I'll have to fix my good mic. I rated Xerox Trust last time. And I rated Sim Griffin for that. I have rated Shia, but was long ago. I have been in the stream only once. So I'm gonna check them out. Like, I know what Shia does. He's always like teaching something. And if it's a slow tempo, yeah, no audio on. And the stream rate, I don't really know. New followers got 207 now. Focus good Ahmed doing bugs. But I think it's Academy. Right, Xbox Academy. Very basic things. And people are helping. So that's nice. And this Xerox Trust only has one person. He didn't have a mic yesterday. Let's see if he has a mic today. Ah, yeah, I can't have music on mine. Let's read the stream. It looks nice. I think I'll do Shy Hat, really. So, let's do that. Because I did Xerox Trust last time, and the other one I don't know enough to want to raid. You know, I want to know a little bit more. And I'm not gonna raid in his channel. That's like, it won't happen. Nothing will happen, you know. But let's raid. It keeps hopping back now. So I was looking at the H letter, and a finger appeared and pressed it, and I was like, "What?" Maybe it's time to go to bed. It was me typing. Yeah, I was typing. Really, I would like to play games though. I would like to, but I'm stopping because of my shoulder, so I should sleep. And it's not dark outside. Summer, it's like it's already going bright again. Let's start with raid and let's hop over and check day son of down Stockholm. No, I don't want this. Can't I just be allowed to say no at once? Sun in Stockholm, daylight. So it rises at 3, and we're at 3:11, so it's quite bright already. It's just under the edge there. It's just about to go up the sun here. From like 22 to 3:30. That's not a mega long night. So that's why it's already bright outside at 1:12. I'm gonna join the raid to Shy Hat. So thank you very much for being here, and I'm gonna send a link to YouTube. And you're more people on YouTube now than on Twitch. So I'll send the link. Let's unmute.
Pin entries. Thank you very much, Fixit, for raiding with the party of 3. Welcome, Fixit and raiders. We're just learning about mobile forensic stuff right now.
4 people on YouTube.
But let's give you
I'm
a
stopping stream
warm
now.
hack
Bye
the
bye
planet.
and see you nobody.